Chapter 831. Qing Lin secretly swallowed his saliva. It had been a long time since he felt the emotion called fear. Leng Shiqi and the other two had the ability to kill him one-on-one, but he had to face all three of them at the same time. What was the difference between this and death? You win. Qing Lin sighed. Although I still don't know your background, the winner takes all. You can kill me or torture me as you wish. Leng Shiqi said, Who said you want to die? We are only helping Princess Carol take back her throne. Zhulu country is still the same as before, just with a new king. You are still a member of Zhulu country's royal family as long as you are willing to submit to Princess Carol. Qing Lin's expression changed. He wanted him to surrender. He would not believe Leng Shiqi's nonsense. He was sure that Zhulu country would become this mysterious faction's puppet from now on. As for Princess Carol, she would also be a puppet king. However, Leng Shiqi gave him a choice. Surrender without any dignity or die here. Qing Lin hesitated. Just as he was about to give up, Gus let out a desperate cry. Under the suppression of the gravity space, Gus could not use much of his strength. Lu Ho and Green Snake had joined forces to kill him. Gus was already covered in blood and his aura was weak. Leng Shiqi flicked his finger and a stream of light pierced through Gus's heart. Gus's body swayed and fell to the ground. He was filled with regret and unwillingness before he lost his breath. The deaths of the Dragon Sword King, Divine Firmament Supremacy, and Gus meant that tonight's battle was over. Gus's era was completely over. Princess Carol stood up at the right time. She only said 4 words. Those who surrender will not be killed. These words were meant for the experts who came with Gus as well as for Qing Lin. Seeing Gus die, Qing Lin also knew that everything was a foregone conclusion. He couldn't do anything by himself. Especially when Leng Shiqi and Nine Leave were still slowly approaching. Qing Lin did not have any leeway. When the people below saw that Qing Lin, a Sky Origin Stage cultivator, had surrendered, they were even more impressed. Princess Carol suddenly became excited. The surrender of Qing Lin and the others meant that she was only a step away from the throne. One had to know that these people were the backbone of the Zhu Road country. With them, it was equivalent to controlling the majority of the Zhu Road country's power. Leng Shiqi patted Qing Lin's shoulder and said, You are a Sky Origin cultivator. With you here, Zhulugua will naturally be safe. However, Princess Carol's cultivation is too weak. Just in case, I will place restrictions on her. I'm sure you won't refuse. Qing Lin closed his eyes and then opened them again. There was a hint of helplessness in his eyes. Fine, that's how it should be. Your Excellency is indeed sensible. Leng Shiqi struck out several seals and drilled them into Qing Lin's body. He didn't dare to use any tricks against a Heavenly Origin Stage expert. After all, he couldn't stay in Zhulu country all the time. After doing all this, Leng Shiqi came to Princess Carol's side. Princess Carol, no, I should call you Her Majesty Carol. Princess Carol said with a self-deprecating smile, It's just a small country's throne. That's not true. Leng Shiqi shook his head mysteriously. Zhu Road country is indeed very small right now. It can't even compare to the West Desolate province. But that doesn't mean it won't become strong in the future. What do you mean by that? That's for later. Right now, Princess Carol's top priority is to organize these people and then quickly go to King City to prepare for the coronation. When Princess Carol heard the word, enthronement, her delicate body trembled. She had suffered so much over the years and was even willing to become a puppet. Wasn't it all for the sake of the throne? I understand. With that, she brought her people into the city to make arrangements. At this time, King City was in chaos. Not long ago, Leng Shiqi killed dozens of people here. They were all Zhu Road's nobles and Gus's trusted aides. Everyone in King City fell into a deep panic. In the end, even the Heaven Origin Stage was lured out. Unfortunately, he didn't even catch half a shadow. This Heaven Origin Stage was the 4th person in Zhu Road's Royal Hall of Worship, Zhong Guanqing. He was also the weakest, only at the early stage of the Heaven Origin Stage. He wasn't originally from Zhu Road country, but a rogue cultivator from the Starfall dynasty. After breaking through to the Heaven Origin Stage, he didn't know what was good for him and provoked a top sect. He was chased all the way until startling Dragon Sword King came to save him. Thus, he joined Zhu Road's Royal Hall of Worship. Startling Dragon Sword King and the others followed Gus to clean up the rebels. He was left behind in King City. But at this moment, Royal City was in a mess. Many people were running out like crazy, thinking that some kind of scourge had appeared here. Zhong Guanqing had a headache. When startling Dragon Sword King and the others returned, how was he going to explain? How was he going to explain? He could only try his best to stabilize King City and wait for Gus and the others to come back. But on the second day it wasn't Gus and the others who came back. It was Princess Carol. Zhong Guanqing blocked Princess Carol's path. He did so because he saw Qing Lin beside Princess Carol. He didn't understand and thought that Gus had made some deal with Princess Carol. Unexpectedly, Qing Lin said, "Startling Dragon Sword King and Divine Firmament Supremacy have already died. Gus is also dead. The situation is irreversible." Zhong Guanqing's expression froze. He shouted in disbelief, "Impossible. Nothing is impossible. Zhong Guanqing, you're not from Zhu Road country. I advise you to lower your head." Qing Lin was quite tactful, and Zhong Guanqing naturally understood what he meant. He wanted him to submit. Zhong Guanqing was a little confused. Everything was different from what he expected. What happened last night? Why had the sky of Zhu Lu changed in a single day? Qing Lin secretly sent a voice transmission to Zhong Guanqing. "Don't think too much. Princess Carol has 3 powerful cultivators. They are terrifyingly powerful. The startling Dragon Sword King and Divine Firmament Supremacy were killed on the spot. With your cultivation level you will die in 3 moves." Zhong Guanqing's jaw dropped. The startling Dragon Sword King was a late-stage Divine Essence cultivator, but he was killed on the spot. He quickly understood what he had to do. He smiled at Princess Carol. "Welcome, Your Majesty." Who said that Divine Essence cultivators were superior? In the face of life and death they had to put down all their dignity. With Zhong Guanqing's submission, there was almost no resistance to Princess Carol's ascension. The only troublesome thing was the courtiers. They might submit on the surface, but they might secretly obey in public but oppose in private. Thus one person stood up. He was the nation elder during the time of the previous king, Chu Li. After Gus took the throne, he put Chu Li under house arrest because Chu Li's prestige and connections were just too great. Even after a few years, no one in Zhu Road country could compare to him. Lung Shiqi asked Princess Carol to invite him to continue being the nation elder. With Chu Li around, the courtiers would not have any other ideas. Now, Princess Carol had many powerful cultivators. Even the Buddhist sects were helping her win the hearts of the people. And with the support of the royal family and Chu Li, there was no chance of anything going wrong. The next day the monarch city quickly regained its stability. Under everyone's gaze, Carol was crowned queen. Chapter 832. On a mountain outside the royal city, Lung Shiqi stood with his hands behind his back. Delta Origi, Yushu and Xiong Ming stood behind him. Seeing Princess Carol ascend the throne, Lung Shiqi let out a long sigh of relief. "Finally, I have a place to stand." Yes, after secretly taking control of Zhulugua, he finally had a place to stand. No matter how much power and influence he had in the Thunderblaze dynasty, even if he had a sole avatar as the emperor, Zhulugua was a place he had personally planned for a long time. It was also a backup plan he had prepared for himself. Lung Shiqi had many identities: Blood Garment Pavilion, Dark Thunder Guard, Western Baron King. These identities were watched by many people, so he had to be careful at all times. However, Zhulugua was different. Now only the people in the underworld knew that this place belonged to Lung Shiqi, and only the people he trusted the most knew. No matter what happened in the future, Zhulugua would be his backup plan. Even if the Blood Garment Pavilion was completely defeated, even if his identity was completely exposed, he was not afraid. With this backup plan, Lung Shiqi felt much more at ease. Yushu looked at Lung Shiqi like he was looking at a monster and asked, "I really don't understand how you cultivate, it's too abnormal." Without waiting for Lung Shiqi to answer, Yushu muttered, "I'm going back to cultivate," and returned through the underworld. Xiong Ming did not say anything and also disappeared. As for Delta Origi, she stretched out her hand and said, "Give me some more essence blood." Lung Shiqi did not hesitate and took out dozens of drops of essence blood. Last time, when he fought against the Indian army, he saw the power of Delta Origi's Blood Shadow secret art. It was a secret art with great potential. He was also very curious to what extent Delta Origi could perfect this secret art. In the palace, Princess Carol, now Queen Carol, was still a bit absent-minded as she sat on the throne. 10 days ago, she was still competing with the Heavenly Silkworm Palace for a few dozen li of land. She had racked her brains for this. But in a short span of half a month, she sat on the throne of the highest position in Zhulu country. From the beginning to the end, she didn't seem to have done anything at all. Everything had been arranged by Lung Shiqi long ago. She just had to be obedient and do what she was supposed to do. At this moment, Queen Carol felt a deep sense of fear towards Lung Shiqi. Just what kind of person was he? Not only was his strength terrifyingly powerful, but he also came and went like a ghost, taking every conceivable possibility into account, toying with the entire Zhu Road country in the palm of his hand. However, when she saw the officials kneeling before her, she raised her head slightly. She was now the queen, and the most important thing now was to win the hearts of the people. 2 days ago, Leng Shiqi killed a large number of Gus's trusted aides, causing many important positions in Zhu Road to be empty. Naturally, they had to be filled now. Many people were moved by these positions, and it also gave Carol a very good opportunity to promote her trusted aides. After arranging these positions, she also announced that Buddhism would be the state religion of Zhu Road. Naturally, Tu Deng would become the state teacher. No one stood up to oppose this. Everyone knew that Queen Carol had already roped in Buddhism. Moreover, Tu Deng was a true sky origin stage expert. It was naturally a good thing for him to become the state teacher of Zhu Road country. The palace was filled with a joyous atmosphere. However, at this moment, a person holding a scroll rushed in, ignoring the rules of the palace. Report. Urgent report from the border, it's extremely urgent. No one in the palace tried to stop him, but everyone had a serious look on their faces. Something had happened at the border. Ever since Gus had taken the throne, Bei Lu country had been restless while the Zhu Road country's king was changing. In the past few years there had been several conflicts at the border, and Zhu Road country had lost more than they won. Leng Shiqi also recalled that he had indeed encountered the battle between the Zhu Lu nation and the Bei Lu nation. At that time he had collected a large number of souls to upgrade the underworld. Later on he had bumped into the experts of the Li family who had come to kill him. 2 days ago, when he was wantonly slaughtering in the capital, the news had already spread to Bei Lu country. It was normal to have spies in the Zhu Road country's capital, and Bei Lu country, who had received this information, knew that this was an excellent opportunity. Thus, they immediately mobilized their army to the border of Zhu Road country. Queen Carol's expression was also heavy. She had just been crowned queen and something had happened at the border. If she did not handle it well, her prestige would be greatly damaged. She calmed her mind and calmly asked, "What happened at the border?" That person hurriedly said, "Your Majesty, Bei Lu country's army of 50,000 has poured out and is already 200 meters away from the border." What? The palace hall was instantly filled with exclamations. Bei Lu country and Zhu Road country were not much different in strength, at most 2 or 3 times stronger than Zhu Road country. Bei Lu country had a total of 60 to 70,000 soldiers, but this time, Bei Lu country had directly mobilized 50,000 elite soldiers. Were they not afraid that the great Moon Kingdom behind them would take advantage of the situation? No, Bei Lu country was now planning to take advantage of the chaos in Zhu Road country. What worried everyone was that there were only 30,000 Di Lu troops stationed at the border. Although the fortress was easy to defend and difficult to attack in this world, the number of soldiers was not the only factor in war. More importantly, it was the number of experts. Bei Lu country suddenly sent 50,000 elite soldiers, and the experts among them must be far more than those at the border. As long as the other side sent experts to take the lead and destroy the defense of the fortress, it would not take long for them to break through the fortress. Originally there were only some small conflicts between the two sides, but suddenly Bei Lu country's desperate approach made everyone a little panic. Chu Li's expression did not change. He said, "Your Majesty, the most urgent thing now is to immediately mobilize the Indian army to the border, but the speed of the army is too slow. It will take more than 10 days. Therefore, we also need to gather some experts above the Spirit Aperture realm to take the lead as soon as possible to prevent Bei Lu country from launching a sneak attack on the fortress." As soon as he spoke, everyone was immediately relieved. Queen Carol also agreed with Chu Li's suggestion. The two most powerful elite troops in Zhu Road country were the Indian army and the Di Lu army, each with about 30,000 soldiers. The Di Lu army had always been stationed at the western border, while the Indian army was scattered in various important places. Queen Carol was about to speak, but Leng Shiqi's voice suddenly appeared in her mind. "I happen to have something to do in Bei Lu country, so I will solve this matter on the way." Hearing this, Queen Carol's expression froze. What did he mean by solving it on the way? That was an army of 50,000. Even 50,000 pigs could not be killed in a short time. How could Leng Shiqi solve it? But on second thought, it was a miracle that she could sit here at this time. What could Leng Shiqi not do? So she said to the ministers, "There is no need to be so troublesome. I have a way to deal with the 50,000 soldiers." Chapter 833. Carol's words caused the hall that had just calmed down to become noisy again. However, Carol didn't explain and only said, "This one is the king of Zhu Lu country. I know the importance and urgency of this matter better than any of you. But you have to remember one thing, if this one says there is no need to pay attention, then there is no need to pay attention. Court is dismissed." Then she got up and left the hall, leaving behind a group of officials staring at each other. Many people looked at Elder Chu Li, hoping he could persuade the king. However, Chu Li stroked his beard and said, "I can guess your majesty's ability, let's just listen to your orders." When Carol arrived at her study, she immediately summoned someone. "Send this secret edict to the commander of the army at the border as soon as possible." Outside the border of Zhu Lu country, the 50,000 Bei Lu country army was stationed here. There was a group of people drinking and eating meat in a large tent. The person in the lead was wide and fat, his body was covered in fat. Don't look at his appearance, his cultivation was at the peak of unity with the world realm. This person was the commander of the 50,000 Bei Lu country army, Adams. "Ha! I'm afraid that the bastards of Zhu Lu country are scared out of their wits." He tore off a large piece of meat and laughed arrogantly. "That's right." Immediately someone echoed, "Our 50,000 army is at the border, Zhu Lu country is still in internal strife, the previous King Gus is still alive, it's said that this time the one ascending the throne is a little girl. She might not even be able to subdue those officials, how could she have the time to stop us? Even if they send reinforcements now, it's too late." "That's right." Adams continued, "Their experts should be on the way at this time, but they definitely wouldn't expect us to make a move now." Adams smashed the wine jar in his hand and shouted, "Brothers, now that we're full, it's time to kill." Originally, they didn't plan on giving Zhu Lu country time to send reinforcements. Since they sent out a surprise attack, they wanted to catch Zhu Lu country off guard. Just as everyone was rubbing their fists and preparing for a big fight, a terrifying pressure suddenly appeared as if the sky was collapsing. More than 90% of the people in the big tent were directly pressed to the ground to eat dirt. Only 5 of them could still stand, but all of them were bent over, clearly in great pain. It was the Lung Shichi's gravity space. All of a sudden, the fat all over Adam's body trembled as he broke free from the suppression of gravity. He shouted in shock, "Which expert is it? If you have something to say, let's talk it over. You're quite capable to be able to speak normally in my gravity space." A cold voice rang out behind Adams. But before he could turn his head, his vision suddenly turned black, and he lost consciousness forever. Lung Shichi twisted off Adams's head. He glanced around and found that there were more than 60 people in the tent, all of whom were masters above Gang Spirit Realm. This time, Bei Lu country really put in a lot of effort. He stretched out his hand and pressed down, causing the gravity space to rapidly compress. The gravity within the tent continued to increase. Immediately after, a series of popping sounds could be heard. These experts were all crushed into a pile of minced meat by the gravity. After doing this, Lung Shichi quietly left the place. Even the guards outside didn't know what happened inside. The reason why he didn't do anything to those ordinary soldiers was that he wanted to leave this opportunity to others. If Carol was smart enough, she should know what to do. Secondly, Lung Shichi didn't want Bei Lu country to suffer too much damage at once. Zhu Lugua's next step was to annex Bei Lu country. Unfortunately, Zhu Lugua's appetite was not so big that it could swallow the whole Bei Lu country directly. It needed to be nibbled away slowly. In addition, if Bei Lu country suffered heavy casualties this time, it would also give Great Moon Kingdom a chance. Great Moon Kingdom had been eyeing Bei Lu country covetously. Once they found that Bei Lu country had lost tens of thousands of troops, they would definitely send their troops to attack. At that time, Zhu Lugua would be in a passive position. Lung Shichi ignored those soldiers and went straight to the capital of Bei Lu country to look for the 3 talents imperial skill. According to Xiahou Ba, the 3 talents imperial skill was in the hands of the Rain Heavenly Master, the owner of Huayu Building. He had also recently collected information about the Rain Heavenly Master, who had broken through to Tianyuan realm several years ago. Huayu Building had great prestige in Bei Lu country and countless people came to worship it every year. It was easy to find the Rain Heavenly Master, but it was not easy to get the 3 talents imperial skill. First of all, the Rain Heavenly Master's cultivation was in Tianyuan realm. Lung Shichi believed that his strength was comparable to the peak of Tianyuan realm, but it was still unrealistic to act wantonly in the capital of Bei Lu country. Moreover, even if he killed the Rain Heavenly Master, he might not be able to get the 3 talents imperial skill. This was the most troublesome part. Thinking of this, Leng Shiqi's mind flashed, and at the same time, his eyes revealed a strong killing intent. He suddenly remembered that as long as he killed the Rain Heavenly Master and took his soul into the mansion of the dead, he would naturally know where the 3 talents imperial skill was. If that didn't work, he could ask his soul to recite the incantation word by word. At this time, Leng Shiqi found that when his strength reached a certain level, many things were easy to do. Entering the capital of Zhuru country was the best example. At first, Leng Shiqi did not intend to provoke the Dragon Shocking Sword King and others, but his strength was too strong, so he simply killed the people of the Hall of Worship. It was the same to deal with the Rain Heavenly Master. If Leng Shiqi only had the strength of oneness of heaven and men, even if he had planned for a long time and tried his best, he would not have much hope to get the 3 talents imperial skill. Power, the root of all this was power. When Leng Shiqi flew to the capital of Beilu country, there were 30,000 soldiers ready to go in the fortress on the border of Zhuru country. Not long ago, they received a secret order from Queen Carol, waiting for an opportunity to take the initiative to attack the army of Beilu country. At first they all thought that they were wrong. Now that 50,000 soldiers of Beilu country were approaching the border, Yunwu City did not send support, but asked them to take the initiative to attack? What was the difference between this and death? But immediately, several spies reported that all the generals above Gang Spirit Realm in Beilu country died mysteriously. Including the commander Adams, they all died an unnatural death. At this moment, the army of Beilu country was leaderless and the morale was low. The remaining low-level generals could not suppress them at all, and many people even began to escape. After getting this information, the soldiers of the ground army did not know what the opposite side had experienced. They only knew that this was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. The army of Beilu country had no commander, no masters, and the morale of the army was even lower. Although the army of Beilu country outnumbered the ground army by 20,000, the ground army had a huge advantage. The ground army did not hesitate at all. After finishing the reorganization at the fastest speed, they rushed out of the fortress and went straight to the army of Beilu country. Chapter 834. The capital of the Beilu kingdom was not very big, but the buildings here were very strange. They were mostly tall. Tall buildings with more than 10 floors could be seen everywhere. People were bustling inside. It was quite a unique scene. Leng Shiqi had changed his appearance. He was sitting in a restaurant. He was tasting the delicacies of the Beilu kingdom while asking for information about the Huayu building. In his eyes, the Huayu building was just a trick. However, in the eyes of the ordinary people of the Beilu kingdom, it was like a god from the 9th heaven. The Huayu heavenly master was quite capable. Besides, the Beilu kingdom was behind it. The ordinary people were fooled by the Beilu kingdom. Therefore, Leng Shiqi quickly found the location of the Huayu building, which was built right next to the palace of the Beilu kingdom. Logically speaking, this was extremely unreasonable. This kind of layout was like a mountain containing 2 tigers. No king would do this. However, the king of the Beilu kingdom still did it. That was why Leng Shiqi was suspicious. The Huayu building was so close to the palace. If he killed the Huayu heavenly master, it would attract the attention of the Tianyuan stage cultivators of the Beilu kingdom. Therefore, he had to wait for an opportunity. The opportunity would come soon. Therefore, Leng Shiqi stayed in the restaurant and observed the movements of the Melting Rain Tower. Not only the Melting Rain Tower but also the residences of some of the ministers. When night fell, all the mansions suddenly lit up. Groups of people hurried to the palace of the Beilu kingdom. Several people from the Huayu building were also walking to the palace. One of them was in the Tianyuan stage. He was the Huayu heavenly master. Leng Shiqi immediately moved and followed the Huayu heavenly master. However, he was not going to follow the Huayu heavenly master. After all, they were all going to the palace. Leng Shiqi was worried that there might be a high-level sensing formation. Therefore, he did not want to enter the palace. His real target was the other important ministers. Soon, everyone arrived at the main hall of the palace. The atmosphere in the main hall was so heavy that it was difficult to breathe. Kirk, the king of the Beilu kingdom, looked so bitter. The air in the main hall seemed to be frozen. Nobody dared to breathe. This was because they had all received the same information. To be more precise, it was a battle report. Just half a day ago, the Zhu Lu country's army of 30,000 had defeated the Bei Lu country's army of 50,000. More than half of the Bei Lu army had been killed or injured. They were killed so badly that they threw away their helmets and abandoned their armor. The border was also broken through by the Earth Army, and they directly took 2 cities and 6 towns. Defeat, a crushing defeat. 50,000 against 30,000, yet they still suffered such a crushing defeat. Everyone, including the king of the inferior stream kingdom, Kirk, had the first reaction of disbelief when they received the report. The Wuwan army sent out by the Jilu country was not a mob, and there were many high-level spirit cultivators. How could they be beaten so badly by the 30,000 people of the Jilu country? What made it even harder for them to accept was that they had actually lost their city. Originally, Jilu Nation and Zhulu Nation's national strength were about the same. Both sides had been fighting for decades, and there had never been a case of losing a city. The defeat this time not only greatly damaged the national strength of the Beilu country, but also completely humiliated them. At this moment, the most urgent thing for them was not to investigate why they lost, nor did they have the time to find out who was responsible. The most important thing now was how to stabilize the people's hearts and protect the Beilu country's land. One must know that the enemy of the Beilu country was not only the Zhulu country, but also the even more powerful Great Yuklang Kingdom. If the Great Yuklang Kingdom were to add insult to injury and make the Beilu country face enemies from both sides, then they would really be in danger of being annihilated. Kirk had a headache as he pressed his forehead. He no longer had the mood to rage and sighed deeply. I thought that we would be the ones attacking the city, but the result was the opposite. Since it has already happened, let's not care about the reason. Now let's talk about what to do. The main hall was still silent. After a long while, someone spoke. Your Majesty, I think that with the current situation, we must do 3 things at the same time. First, send an envoy to negotiate with the Zhulu country. Second, settle the refugees as soon as possible and stabilize the people's hearts. Third, be wary of the Great Yuklang Kingdom. The Beilu country was defeated, and peace talks were definitely going to happen. If they continued to fight, they would only suffer more losses. However, peace talks also meant that they had admitted defeat, and the Zhulu country was bound to make some excessive demands. They had no choice but to accept this. After all, they had been defeated. The winner was the king and the loser was the bandit. It was that simple. No one objected to the peace talks. No one jumped out and insisted on fighting with the Zhulu country to the end. This matter was quickly decided on the envoy. As for stabilizing the people's hearts, they discussed with each other and did not have a good way. At this time, a person's eyes flashed with a ray of 9-colored light, and then he stepped forward and said, I think it's better to let the Rain Transformation Heavenly Master go. He has great prestige among the people. As long as he uses a little trick, he should be able to make those people quickly submit. Then, several people agreed with this idea. Kirk looked at the Rain Transformation Heavenly Master and asked for his opinion. The Rain Transformation Heavenly Master was wearing a strange mask, so people could not see his face. He was full of mystery. Everyone looked at him with some fear. He did not seem to be very friendly in the eyes of these ministers. The Rain Transformation Heavenly Master did not treat these people well. In the Beilu country, only the king could make him treat them with respect. And if the Rain Transformation Heavenly Master did not agree, even the king could not force him. The Rain Transformation Heavenly Master smiled strangely. It is my duty to share the worries of the king. I will leave early tomorrow morning. That's good. With the Heavenly Master, there is nothing to worry about. Kirk smiled. At this time, Lung Shichi was outside the palace, waiting for the result. He had used illusion to change the minds of several ministers and let them suggest the Rain Transformation Heavenly Master to pacify the people. But he did not enter the palace just in case. He could only wait here. Not long after, some people came out of the palace. Lung Shichi finally got the answer he wanted. Since the Rain Transformation Heavenly Master agreed to help, it meant that he would leave the Beilu country. As long as he left the country, it would give Lung Shichi a chance to make his move. He was not interested in the identity of the Rain Transformation Heavenly Master, nor was he interested in why the Rain Transformation building had such a big influence in the Beilu country. The only thing he was interested in was the 3 talents Imperial technique. With this technique, he could exchange it for a powerful fist technique with Xiaoba. Not only that, but he could also be on good terms with Xiaoba. This was very important for his future plans. When dawn broke, the Rain Transformation Heavenly Master took several people out of the city. Lung Shichi naturally followed. He did not follow very closely. He stayed at the edge of the range of the Byakugan. When they were 300 miles away from the palace, he was ready to make his move. But at this time, the Rain Transformation Heavenly Master made an extremely unexpected move. Chapter 835. The rain harvester suddenly stopped, and the people around him naturally stopped as well. Master Heavenly Master? One of them doubtfully asked. Let's stop here. I'm talking about you. The rain harvester suddenly raised his blade, and several sharp chi streaked across, instantly cutting off the heads of those people. Seeing this, Leng Shiqi's eyes narrowed. The dead people were all from the rain harvester, and could be considered as half of the rain harvester's disciples, but the rain harvester actually killed them so casually. What was going on? Leng Shiqi suppressed his killing intent, and decided to see what was going on first. After the rain harvester killed those people, a small dark gray formation suddenly appeared beside him, and a translucent figure appeared. Trash. The figure angrily cursed, and the rain harvester immediately knelt down on the ground. His body was actually slightly trembling, and it seemed like he was extremely afraid of this person. The rain harvester was a sky origin level cultivator, but now he was like this. This made Leng Shiqi very curious about the figure's identity, and at the same time he felt that the rain harvester's identity was not simple. The figure saw the rain harvester like this and waved his hand. Forget it, Zhulu country has a mysterious force behind it, and this failure can't be blamed on you. Your task now is not only to continue invading Beilu country, but also to investigate the force behind Zhulu country. If you can't do it well, you know the rules of the temple. I understand, I will do my best. The rain harvester immediately nodded like he was pounding garlic. You take care of yourself. After saying this, the illusory figure disappeared. The rain harvester climbed up from the ground, and his body was full of fatigue. He deeply sighed and continued walking. In the afternoon, his footsteps paused because he realized that the world had turned black and white in an instant. Only the world below him was black and white. The grass and trees around him all turned gray, and even the sun in the sky was the same. The rain morphing master was alarmed. He formed a hand seal and 3 mysterious seals appeared around him. They were the seals of ice, wind, and lightning. After that, countless black and white rays of light shot out from midair. Boundless energy of yin and yang erupted, and it instantly expelled all the energy of the heavens and the earth in an area of 50 kilometers. The 3 seals quickly fade away. The rain harvester is shocked. Can a warrior of the sky origin stage still be considered a warrior of the sky origin stage when he can't communicate with the natural energies? Without the support of heaven and earth essence energy, his strength would be reduced by at least 50%. The black and white streams of light then separated. The white streams of light floated above the 9 heavens, while the black streams of light sank below the 9 underworlds. Immediately after, heaven and earth shook, and the terrifying power of yin and yang seemed to split the world apart. The clouds of the 9 heavens dispersed, and the gates of hell opened. Yin-yang brilliant void. 2 black and white spheres like the sun and moon appeared in the sky and on the ground. The power of yin and yang intersected, stirring up the laws of the world. And the point of intersection was the rain transformation master. Even though the rain harvester was wearing a mask, one could still see his horrified face. At this moment his body was being pulled by the power of yin and yang, and he couldn't even move. The black and white spheres attracted each other, and suddenly collided with each other. In an instant the sky darkened. Strangely, the black and white spheres didn't make any sound after they collided, as if even the sound was silenced. Instead, the surrounding space was cut into many spatial cracks. When all the light dissipated, there was nothing in the surrounding 100 miles. Even the air and spiritual energy didn't exist. This was a real land of death. As for the rain harvester, he had already been crushed into dust by the power of yin and yang. At this moment, Leng Shiqi appeared. His face was a bit pale. After knowing that the rain transformation master's identity was strange, he was much more cautious. He waited for the rain transformation master to leave for a while before making his move. And just in case, he used his trump card, the brilliant void of yin and yang. He directly melted the rain transformation master, not giving him any chance to escape. Leng Shiqi heard very clearly that the mysterious shadow said the 2 words, Holy Palace. To be able to order the rain transformation master, who was a warrior of the sky origin stage, around like a dog, that shadow must be someone from the yin and yang palaces. To be more specific, it should be someone from the Nether Holy Palace. Leng Shiqi had no choice but to kill the rain transformation master. Otherwise, if the rain transformation master had a chance to spread the news, he would be in great trouble. Although he had been tracking down the Nether Holy Palace, and he purposely revealed the name Leng Shiqi in order to lure them out. But it didn't mean that he had to go against the Nether Holy Palace now. Leng Shiqi hooked his finger and took the rain transformation master's soul into the underworld mansion. He immediately teleported thousands of miles away and entered the underworld mansion. Even if the Nether Holy Palace had some tricks, they wouldn't be able to find him. Arriving at the underworld mansion, Lung Shiqi immediately summoned the Rain Transformation Master's soul. At this moment he saw that the Rain Transformation Master was a handsome middle-aged man. But from his appearance he didn't look like someone from the Beilu Kingdom. He must have come from the Thunderblaze Kingdom or the Starfall Kingdom. Then Lung Shiqi turned the Rain Transformation Master into a ghost slave. "Where is the 3 talents control art that you cultivated?" The Rain Transformation Master stiffly replied, "The original copy has been destroyed." So it was like that. Apart from the top sects, if other people obtained this level of technique, they would most likely destroy it. It was safest to keep it in his mind. "Tell me the mantra of the 3 talents control art," Lung Shiqi ordered. Then, the Rain Transformation Master said the technique word by word. Lung Shiqi naturally recorded it all in his mind. This technique was quite mysterious. It cultivated the power of ice, wind, and thunder. It was also the power of yin and yang and the power of the 5 elements that directly connected to the origin of the world. Unfortunately, the 3 talents control art only cultivated these 3 powers separately and then used their strengths to make up for their weaknesses. It looked very strong, but in Lung Shiqi's eyes, it was only superficial. He also didn't know why Xiaohoba wanted this technique. Lung Shiqi wasn't interested in delving into this point. He also planned to cultivate this cultivation technique. It would be a waste if he didn't learn it. After all, it was a rank 8 cultivation technique. But before that, he had to confirm the guess in his heart. He asked, "What is your real identity? Is it related to the Nether Temple?" The Rain Transformation Master nodded and said, "I was originally from the Starfall Kingdom. Because I offended many people, I could only change my appearance and escape to the 6 kingdoms of the West. Later, I became an outer disciple of the Nether Temple. It was also with their help that I broke through to the Sky Origin realm. They asked me to use a secret technique to slowly control the Beilu Kingdom. In the future they will secretly control the Beilu Kingdom." It turned out that the Rain Transformation Master was really from the Nether Temple. Lung Shiqi smiled. "It seems that the Nether Temple and I both have designs on the 6 kingdoms of the West. Interesting." Chapter 836. However, Lung Shiqi felt that the Nether Temple didn't need to waste so much effort. Even a Heaven Origin stage cultivator like the Rain Transformation Heavenly Master could only be regarded as an outer disciple. The terror of the Nether Temple could be imagined. They only needed to send a few masters to secretly control the Beilu country. He couldn't guess the purpose of the Nether Temple. Even if he could guess it, it was useless. What he could do now was to slow down the pace of attacking the Beilu country and further improve his strength. So, he sat down cross-legged and prepared to cultivate the art of tripartite control. In the blink of an eye, several days passed. The people at the border of the Beilu country didn't see the Rain Transformation Heavenly Master. After careful investigation, they found that several disciples of the Rain Transformation building had died, and the Rain Transformation Heavenly Master had disappeared without a trace. This caused a panic in the Beilu country. At this moment, Lung Shiqi was still cultivating the art of tripartite control. He had the system, so cultivating a cultivation method was just a blink of an eye. However, he didn't use the system, but comprehended and cultivated on his own. Now that he had a basic understanding of the cultivation method, Lung Shiqi was stunned. An 8th level cultivation method was precious and could improve his strength, but that was not the reason why he was stunned. It was because he seemed to see a path vaguely. Lung Shiqi's mind suddenly lit up. He moved his mind and came to the edge of the 6 paths of reincarnation. Looking at the place that controlled the reincarnation, his eyes suddenly flashed with a dazzling light. Then, the black and white power of yin and yang surged around him, splitting the sky and earth. Suddenly, thousands of miles were frozen, the wind raged in the air and thunder exploded. A fire phoenix soared into the sky, a white tiger stepped on the sky, a water dragon roared, and a black tortoise guarded the mountain. These several forces and the 6 paths of reincarnation filled the sky and earth. Lung Shiqi's eyes turned gold and silver. In his eyes, these forces were actually strange threats. He just watched, allowing all of the power to surge. 1 day, 2 days, 10 days, half a month. He didn't move, and even the look in his eyes didn't change, like a stone statue. Fortunately, he was the Lord of Underworld, and there was an endless supply of spiritual energy in Underworld for him to use, otherwise he would have already died from exhaustion. Only after several months had passed did he finally make a move. Lung Shiqi pointed with his finger, and the black and white streams of light immediately fused together like a millstone that stirred up heaven and earth. In an instant, it formed a yin-yang pattern that covered the sky above the mansion of the dead. He took a step forward, and then the violent energies of ice crystals, divine lightning and nirvana astral wind fused together in a strange manner. In the end, they formed a mysterious mark that emitted 3 colors. Immediately after, the fire phoenix, water dragon, white tiger and black tortoise roared into the sky as they transformed into 4 streams of light. 4 spirits array diagram. Finally, the 6 paths of reincarnation of the underworld began to slowly rotate. The power of reincarnation spread out and turned into 6 giant eyes of different shapes floating behind Lung Shiqi. The strange light in his eyes slowly faded and was replaced by a look of joy. A few months ago, after Lung Shiqi cultivated the 3 talents imperial art, he felt that there was a lot of room for improvement in this technique. He didn't have anything important to do at the moment, so he decided to continue comprehending it. He had also cultivated the 3 powers of ice, wind and thunder before, so it only took him a month to successfully fuse the 3 powers and comprehend a unique skill, the 3 talents seal. However, he didn't end his cultivation. Instead, he suddenly remembered that he had unintentionally mastered a similar power. That was the power of yin and yang, the power of the 4 symbols, and the power of the 6 paths of reincarnation that existed in Underworld. Yin and yang opened heaven and earth. The 3 talents gave birth to all things, the 4 symbols suppressed the 8 wastelands, the 5 elements determined the universe, and the 6 paths of reincarnation. A world relied on these powers to maintain itself, and Lung Shiqi had unknowingly mastered more than half of these powers. Although he may have only grasped the surface, it had pointed him towards a path. The path that he had always wanted to find was the path to the origin of the world. After several months of comprehension, he had already deduced the power of yin and yang, 3 talents for symbols, and 6 paths to the extreme that he could control. He had even comprehended the eye of 6 paths from the 6 paths of reincarnation. He could borrow a certain power from the outside world to obtain different abilities. Unfortunately, no one had tried it yet and he didn't have the time to try it either. Because the path he wanted to take was still missing an important link. That was the power of the 5 elements. What he needed to do next was to comprehend the power of the 5 elements as soon as possible, and then combine the power of yin and yang, 3 talents for symbols, 5 elements, and 6 paths to break through to the heavenly origin stage. Lung Shiqi knew that it was extremely difficult and dangerous to fuse these powers that were close to the origin of the world. However, he also knew that once he broke through to the heavenly origin stage using this method, his strength would skyrocket. Not only that, this path would directly touch the power of the laws of heaven and earth. In a sense, when he reached the heavenly origin stage, he would directly reach the Tongshan stage. He actually planned to skip the heavenly origin stage. It had to be said that Lung Shiqi had a big plan. He called this method of breaking through the heavenly origin stage, Tao unification, merging the laws of heaven and earth. Now, what he needed most was to find a place where he could comprehend the power of the 5 elements. He knew where that place was. That was the minor 5 elements chaos paradise. This secret treasure of the Thunderblaze dynasty was created with the power of the 5 elements. For Lung Shiqi, it was simply a paradise that was tailor-made for him. Moreover, this item was in the hands of his soul clone, Lei Haoyan, so it would be easy for him to take it. The problem was that Lung Shiqi was too far away from his soul clone, so he could not directly communicate with him. Even if he could communicate with him, it would take a long time for the minor chaos paradise to be sent over. It would be better for Lung Shiqi to take it himself. Thunderblaze Dynasty Imperial Capital, Discipline Department. Delta Orgi was in seclusion in her secret room. The room was filled with the smell of blood, and there were 4 ferocious blood shadows standing around her. 3 of them were the ones she had used to massacre people in Zhulu country. At this moment, Delta Orgi was concentrating on forming a seal, and a blood-colored seal was sent into the blood shadow in front of her. This blood shadow's body had just taken shape, but its face was still very blurry. Even its facial features were still missing and it was all crooked. However, as the seal continued, the blood shadow's face slowly became clearer. Delta Orgi's lips curled into a smile. At this moment, her expression changed slightly. Immediately after, she withdrew the seal, and her figure suddenly disappeared. A breath later, she returned and Lung Shiqi appeared with her. Lung Shiqi had used the underworld to ask Delta Orgi to help him open an exit in the imperial capital, allowing him to instantly arrive there. Delta Orgi tilted her head and asked, "Is something the matter?" "Yes, I came to take something." Lung Shiqi was about to leave when he saw the blood shadow from before. His body immediately stopped. The appearance of this blood shadow was actually somewhat similar to Lung Shiqi. Chapter 837. Although the blood shadow's facial features had not been completely reshaped, it looked somewhat similar to Lung Shiqi. He looked at the other blood shadows in the four corners and said with some surprise, "You didn't turn me into a blood shadow, did you?" "It's difficult." Delta Origi did not deny it. Instead she looked worried. "The three next to you were refined with the blood essence of masters in the oneness of heaven and men realm that I secretly obtained. You are also in the oneness of heaven and men realm, but I don't know why you can't successfully condense a blood shadow. This is the closest you have ever been to success, but unfortunately you are still a little short." Lung Shiqi pondered for a moment. He did not know the rules of Delta Origi's secret method, but he thought of a possibility. That was, the blood essence he gave Delta Origi was different every time. They were all his blood essence, but they were blood essence of different realms and strengths. The first time he gave Delta Origi blood essence, it was when Lung Shiqi roped Delta Origi into the underworld. At that time he was only in the gang spirit realm. Although the next two times he was in the oneness of heaven and men realm, Lung Shiqi's body had undergone tremendous changes after passing through the demonic miasma mountain. Therefore, the quality of the blood essence Delta Origi received was actually uneven. Perhaps this was the reason why she could not condense a blood shadow. Therefore, Lung Shiqi took out dozens of drops of blood essence without hesitation and then left without waiting for Delta Origi to say anything. Delta Origi was stunned. It was naturally a good thing to have the blood essence, but she was more concerned that Lung Shiqi seemed to be in a hurry this time. What could make him so anxious? Since Lung Shiqi did not take the initiative to say, she did not ask and continued to study the blood shadow secret method. After a while, Lung Shiqi came to the study of Lei Haoyan's soul doppelganger. The surrounding formation had been removed. Otherwise, even if Lung Shiqi was good at hiding, he would be discovered. When he entered the study, there were already 3 items placed on the desk of his soul avatar. They were a bracelet, a bead and 2 jade slips. "Everything is ready." The soul avatar pointed at the 3 items on the table. Lung Shiqi picked up the bracelet first. This was the main purpose of his trip, the minor chaos paradise. That pearl was purple and red, and it was none other than the heavenly thunderfire pearl that had been resealed. His soul avatar had risked the entire world to go into seclusion for the sake of this heavenly thunderfire pearl. Now there were only 3 restrictions on the heavenly thunderfire pearl. Every time a restriction was removed, a portion of the pearl's power would be activated. The method to remove the restriction was in that jade slip. As for the other jade slip, it contained the insights of the heavenly origin stage experts of the Thunderflame dynasty, and it was related to the 5 elements. None of these things contained the complete power of the 5 elements. At most, they contained 2 or 3 types of power. For the Lung Shiqi, they could also be used by analogy. After receiving the items, Lung Shiqi prepared to go back into seclusion, but his soul avatar coughed dryly. "What's the matter?" Lung Shiqi asked. In fact, he knew what the soul avatar was thinking, but if the soul avatar was deliberately acting, he would still cooperate. "Not long after I came out of seclusion, the impeachment reports piled up like a mountain. You should think of a way to fool them." The matter that the soul avatar was referring to was naturally Lung Shiqi's actions of dominating the Western Desolation province. This matter had happened for a full year, but the minister still did not let it go. "Let them make trouble, I don't have time to care about them recently." Lung Shiqi did not plan to care about this. Comprehending the power of the 5 elements was the most important thing. Even so, there needs to be a reason. "Take a look at this." The soul avatar took out a memorial. Lung Shiqi quickly scanned it and sneered, "Humph, the Northern Wei dynasty actually imitated me and organized a 1,000 spirit gathering and even found us." That's right. The Northern Wei dynasty invited all the spirit cultivators in the world to participate in the 1,000 spirit gathering. The Northern Wei dynasty is the weakest among the 3 dynasties, and their foundation is the weakest. Originally, not many people were willing to participate. However, the people ranked at the top of this 1,000 spirit gathering actually have the chance to enter the Ashanian world to cultivate. This is the foundation of the Northern Wei dynasty, so it's really a big deal. Now that all the spirit cultivator sects and rogue cultivator experts on the continent have been attracted, the dynasty naturally has to send people. Last time, when Zhuozhou sneaked into the Demon Miasma mountain range, we only asked for a large amount of resources from the Northern Wei dynasty. We didn't ask for too much, so the Northern Wei dynasty specially gave us a large number of spots. The Dark Thunder Guards, the Discipline Division, and the Royal Consecration Hall all have people going. It's good for you to go as a prince. I know you want to immediately enter seclusion to comprehend the power of the 5 elements, but haste makes waste. You have just comprehended the tripartite seal and the eye of the 6 paths, which is already your limit. The so-called path of cultivation is relaxed, so there's no need to rush. Besides, you can enter the Ashen Aeon world if you get a good ranking in the 1000 Spirit Gathering. It's also a good opportunity to increase your strength. The soul avatar was trying to persuade Lung Shiqi. The conversation between the two of them was equivalent to talking to themselves. This wasn't very strange. It was just like when a person encountered something they couldn't decide on, there would be 2 voices in their heart. It all depended on who could persuade who in the end. Lung Shiqi began to hesitate. The soul avatar was right. He was indeed a little too eager for success. It didn't seem like a bad idea to make a trip to the Northern Wei dynasty. In particular, the Ashen Aeon world was very attractive to him. The reason why the Northern Wei dynasty could become the 3rd dynasty under the noses of the Starfall dynasty and the Thunderblaze dynasty was because of Sword Saint Song Yuan. Sword Saint Song Yuan was a sacred spirit expert from tens of thousands of years ago. He was a supreme expert in this world. He was also the last sacred spirit expert recorded in the history of the Starfall continent. After him, no one else became a sacred spirit. Perhaps there was, but it wasn't known. Sword Saint Song Yuan later disappeared without a trace. No one knew where he went. He didn't even have a disciple's legacy. It was as if he had disappeared from the world. It wasn't until a few hundred years ago that the ancestors of the Northern Wei dynasty accidentally discovered a portion of Sword Saint Song Yuan's legacy, which was the Ashen Aeon world. Since then, the Northern Wei dynasty suddenly rose. In just a few decades, it became the 3rd dynasty of the continent. And the winner of this myriad spirit gathering was qualified to enter the Ashen Aeon world. Who could resist such a reward? It was impossible for Lung Shiqi not to be tempted. The news of the myriad spirit gathering has just spread. Because the Northern Wei dynasty has invited all the spirit cultivators in the world, including those who are still alive. In order to give them time to travel, the myriad spirit gathering is specially set to be held a year later. You don't have to go into seclusion and cultivate for about a year. In any case, 9 Leave is in the Northern Wei dynasty. When the time comes, you can directly teleport over through the underworld. As long as you agree to go, I can also use you to send away those ministers. It can be said to be killing 2 birds with 1 stone. The soul avatar continued to add. Lung Shiqi had already begun to waver. However, at this moment he suddenly felt something strange in the underworld. His mind instantly sank into the underworld and he saw 9 Leave lying on the ground with wounds all over his body. Chapter 838. Lung Shiqi was shocked. He had seen 9 Leave's strength when they seized Zhu Lugua. Although her cultivation had not fully recovered, her strength was definitely comparable to the middle stage of Heaven Origin Realm. Who could injure her to this extent? Senior 9 Leave, what happened? Lung Shiqi hurriedly asked. 9 Leave's blood-stained face gritted her teeth and said, "It's all because of those bastards from the Blood Beast sect. They couldn't beat me one by one, so they joined forces with the Imperial Beast Abode and Northern Wei Empire to ambush me. Fortunately, there was the Underworld Mystic Realm. Otherwise I would have died." Lung Shiqi couldn't help but twitch his mouth. He knew that 9 Leave had left Northern Wei Empire to take revenge on the Blood Beast Abode and the Imperial Beast Abode. Now 9 Leave had actually made the 2 top sects, who had always been her sworn enemies, join forces and even dragged Northern Wei Empire into it. Only the heavens knew how much evil 9 Leave had done in Northern Wei Empire. Perhaps 9 Leave would have been careful in the past, but after she could enter the Underworld Mystic Realm at any time, she became arrogant and wantonly slaughtered the disciples of the 2 sects, causing them to lose a large number of elite disciples. Even some elders and higher-ups had died at her hands. It would be strange if she wasn't surrounded and killed. Lung Shiqi stretched out his hand and drew in a large amount of black gas, saying, "Senior, this energy can help you recover quickly. You can go out after you recover. And recovering is a small matter. The key is that the Imperial Beast Abode and the Blood Beast Abode are now fully prepared. It will be extremely difficult to take revenge on them." 9 Leave sighed and shook her head. It seemed that she hadn't killed enough. Then, she glanced at Lung Shiqi and smiled, saying, "If you have nothing to do now, come to Northern Wei Empire." Lung Shiqi immediately had a bad premonition. He hurriedly said, "My identity is too conspicuous. It's inconvenient for me to enter Northern Wei Empire." "Forget it. You can just teleport over from my side." What a perfunctory excuse. 9 Leave said disdainfully, I helped you fight last time. This time it's your turn. Right now your strength is not inferior to mine. Once my injuries are healed, we can wreak havoc in the Northern Wei Empire." Leng Shiqi facepalmed. Jiuli really didn't mind making a big deal out of it. It was one thing to deal with the Blood Beast sect in the Imperial Beast Abode, but how could the Northern Wei Empire be as simple as it seemed on the surface? However, the last time Nine Leaf came to Zhu Road country to help him, he didn't get any benefits. Leng Shiqi came as soon as he was called. This favor had to be acknowledged. Perhaps at that time, Nine Leaf had already planned to call Leng Shiqi over, so he came so quickly. This could be considered a form of reciprocity. Leng Shiqi really couldn't refuse. It seems that this trip to the Northern Wei Empire is a must, Leng Shiqi thought to himself. Then he said to Nine Leaf, "Senior Nine Leaf, please recover as soon as possible. At least you still have some conscience." Nine Leaf knew that Leng Shiqi had agreed. "However, our strength is about the same, so don't call me senior. Just call me Nine Leaf." "All right." Leng Shiqi didn't argue. In this world, strength was respected. Strength was far more important than seniority. Then Leng Shiqi's consciousness returned to his main body. His soul clone was still waiting for his answer. "I'll go to the Northern Wei Empire." With that, Leng Shiqi was about to turn and leave, but his footsteps suddenly stopped. He turned and asked, "Have you found your path?" The soul clone's expression stiffened slightly. Then he smiled and took out a pearl. It was the other heavenly thunderfire pearl. "I'm not as ambitious as you. I'll be satisfied if I can fully comprehend the heavenly thunderfire pearl and grasp a trace of the law of thunderfire and break through to the mystic comprehending realm." The soul clone had possessed Lei Haoyan. This body's cultivation talent was already very high. Furthermore, it had refined the purple crystal frost flame. It had a high chance of breaking through to the heaven origin realm. Not long ago, the soul clone had been in the dragon vein setting up restrictions on the heavenly thunderfire pearl. During that time, it had absorbed a lot of the dragon vein's power. Now, its cultivation had reached the late stage of unity of heaven and man. It was qualified to find its own path to the heaven origin realm. That was why Leng Shiqi asked this question. He pondered for a moment and said, "You have the purple crystal frost flame. If you can obtain a thunder-type mutated beast with the heavenly thunderfire pearl, I believe it won't be long before you break through to the heaven origin realm. Heavenly Venerable Black Flame once gave me information about the divine thunder of oblivion. It's in the northern wastelands outside the Northern Wei Empire. I'll go get it for you." The soul clone's expression changed. He shook his head and said, "You also have the crimson gold earth dragon flame. If you can refine the divine thunder of oblivion, you can also unleash the power of the heavenly thunderfire pearl. It can be considered a big trump card." Leng Shiqi didn't say anything. Instead, he looked deeply at the soul clone. After a while he said, "I've found my own path. The heavenly thunderfire pearl is nothing more than an external object. The divine thunder of oblivion is more suitable for you." Leng Shiqi walked out. When he was about to walk out of the room, a sentence floated over with the wind. "I'll call you Lei Haoyan from now on." The soul clone Lei Haoyan's hands trembled in his sleeves. A strange light flashed in his eyes. When he saw Leng Shiqi completely disappear, he suddenly panted. After Leng Shiqi left the palace, his expression was a bit heavy. He felt that something was wrong when he saw the soul clone this time. Perhaps it was because too much time had passed between them, causing the soul clone to only have his own thoughts. Over time, there was a sense of unfamiliarity between them. This unfamiliarity also caused a gap to form in their hearts. In other words, the soul clone already had his own thoughts. He was no longer a pure clone, and he didn't want to continue being a clone. The conversation between the two just now was a signal. Originally, the two didn't need to talk to each other. Their thoughts were the same. The soul clone wanted to use this method to tell Leng Shiqi his thoughts. Leng Shiqi also understood. However, he didn't want to destroy the soul clone just because it had its own thoughts. Everything had a spirit, so it was reasonable for it to exist. Since the soul clone had its own independent personality, it wasn't necessarily a bad thing. He might be able to walk further down the path in the future. Moreover, that was a part of Leng Shiqi's soul power. Since he could give it away, he could naturally take it back. If he found out that the soul clone didn't know what was good for him, then he could only blame himself. Therefore, Leng Shiqi decided to give the soul clone a chance. That was why he said those words before he left. From that moment onwards, the soul clone had his own name, Lei Haoyan. The emperor of the Thunderfire dynasty, Lei Haoyan. After getting what he wanted, Leng Shiqi greeted the Delta Origi and returned to Zhu Lu through the underworld. He went directly to Princess Carol's side. Before he went to the Northern Wei Empire, he had to settle everything. Chapter 839. Over the past few months, Princess Carol had taken complete control of the Zhu Lu country. Especially when the ground army turned the tables and seized the 2 cities and 6 towns of the Pai Lu country, everyone in the Zhu Lu country was shocked. The Zhu Lu country had a history of several hundred years, but the number of times they had expanded their territory could be counted on one hand. The last time they expanded their territory was 100 years ago. And Queen Carol had suddenly become the queen of 100 years. This time there was no need for Leng Shiqi's arrangements. From the ministers to the commoners, they all praised Queen Carol's brilliance. Even though the ministers didn't know what was going on, Carol was filled with a sense of mystery in their hearts. Seeing Leng Shiqi appear, Carol's expression did not change as she said crisply, "What orders?" Leng Shiqi narrowed his eyes. This Carol was becoming more and more difficult to deal with. Don't push the Pai Lu country too hard. The Zhu Lu country does not have the appetite to swallow the Pai Lu country in one go. Moreover, I heard that there is a powerful force hidden in the Pai Lu country. This matter needs to be considered at length. Carol frowned and continued, I know that we can't rush to swallow the Pai Lu country. If we develop slowly, I'm afraid it will take 10 years before we can do it. Not necessarily. You should know what the Indian army and ground army of the Zhu Lu country lacked the most. Leng Shiqi smiled mysteriously. What they lacked the most? Carol revealed a pondering look, then her eyes widened as she said 2 words, refined iron. Yes, refined iron. When Leng Shiqi was still a small supervisor in the Western Desolate Prefecture, he encountered the Zhu Lu country smuggling refined iron from the Thunder Flame dynasty. Later on, he came to the Zhu Lu country to investigate this matter and experienced the Battle of Gugad Peak. With the Zhu Lu country's national strength, supporting the Indian army and ground army of 50,000 was already the limit. In a situation where they could not expand, they naturally had to find ways to improve. Slowly raising the strength of the troops was very slow. The fastest and most obvious way was to equip them with stronger weapons and armors. Unfortunately, the Zhu Lu country did not have refined iron veins, so they could not forge stronger weapons and armors. This severely limited the overall strength of the Zhu Lu country. But now it was nothing. Leng Shiqi said, You personally choose a few trustworthy people to be in charge of purchasing refined iron from the West Baron Prefecture. As long as the price is right, you can have as much refined iron as you want. We'll store up grain and train our soldiers when the time is right. I understand. Carol knew that once Zhu Lu country had a large amount of fine iron, their strength would increase by leaps and bounds. Of course, the forging of fine iron weapons had to be done secretly. When attacking the Beilu kingdom, it would be a surprise attack. After arranging the matters in Zhu Lugua, Leng Shiqi instantly arrived at the Western Wasteland King's mansion through Oziu's exit. This time he left for a few months. Fortunately, his deterrence to the West Desolate Prefecture was great enough, so there were no major disturbances. On the other hand, the various factions in the West Baron Prefecture were very cautious. They thought that the Leng Shiqi would cause trouble in the West Baron Prefecture, but who would have thought that in the next few months, the Leng Shiqi would not even show his face? It seemed that they were overthinking. The Leng Shiqi was not in the West Baron Prefecture at all. Leng Shiqi appeared in Oziu's room. The current Oziu's status in the Western Wasteland King's mansion was not low. He was equivalent to the deputy stewards under his command. However, he did not manage much and spent more time cultivating, as well as deducing. Ever since Oziu obtained the inheritance of the king of Luanzhuan, he had the ability to deduce all things. The first thing he said when he saw Leng Shiqi was, "You're going to the Northern Wei dynasty." This sentence was not a question but a statement. It was as if Oziu had long known that Leng Shiqi was going to the Northern Wei dynasty. Leng Shiqi turned his head. Oziu was sitting cross-legged on a futon with a charlatan expression on his face. "Did you calculate this?" "You can say that. I advise you not to go," Oziu said mysteriously. "What?" Leng Shiqi raised his eyebrows. "Don't say that I'm going to have a bloody disaster." Oziu was silent for a moment, wanting to say something but hesitating. Leng Shiqi was stunned. "Could it be that I was right? Last time during the battle in Zhu Lugua your strength was too strong. I tried to deduce your heavenly secrets, but your heavenly secrets were like a chaotic vortex. It was impossible to pry into them at all." Oziu explained, "But not long ago something happened. Your heavenly secrets actually flowed into the distance and, disappeared. And in that direction is the north. If the heavenly secrets disappeared, it naturally meant that he was dead. From Ozu's deduction, Lung Shiqi seemed to be going to die in the north. Lung Shiqi did not believe it when he heard it. First of all, he did not believe in the so-called heavenly secrets. He firmly believed that his fate was up to him and not the heavens. Moreover, with his current strength, unless a Tongshan realm cultivator attacked him with all his strength, he might not even be able to force him to escape into the underworld. With his strength and an invincible life-saving trump card like the underworld, who could kill him? The Northern Wei Empire also had a Tongshan realm expert, but that person was like the Thunderblaze Empire's old master Qiao. He would not appear unless the empire was on the brink of destruction. Lung Shiqi believed that he was just going to the Northern Wei Empire to take a stroll and help Nine leave fight. It was unlikely that a Tongshan realm expert would appear. That's all I have to say. As for whether you believe me or not, it's up to you. With that said, Ozu closed his eyes. Lung Shiqi strolled back to his study and began handling some matters. However, he was always worried. Ozu's words kept lingering in his ears. He was a person who cherished his life, but at the same time he was a person who risked his life. Along the way he had experienced countless life and death situations. It was unknown how many times he had been on the brink of death before he achieved what he had today. He had 3 goals for his trip to the Northern Wei Empire: to participate in the Myriad Spirit Meet and obtain a spot to enter the Ashen world. To avenge Nine Leave, he also had to collect the Divine Lightning of Annihilation. Therefore he had to make this trip. He could not back down because of a so-called heavenly secret. After making up his mind, Lung Shiqi's eyes became even more resolute. As a person who had lived 2 lives, he had long stopped believing in heavens. He wanted to see who could kill him. Following that, he specially used a day to deal with all the matters. He also began to prepare for seclusion. This time he planned to enter seclusion for a year until the Myriad Spirit Meet was about to begin. However, from the various matters he dealt with, the Western Desolate Province was becoming less and less peaceful. After his seclusion he had to travel to the Northern Wei Empire. It could be said that he had not done anything in the 2 years since he became the Western Desolate King. This way his prestige might slowly decrease. In order to prevent anyone from causing trouble, he had to find a person before he entered seclusion. That person was the Azure Thunder Army's commander, Xiahou Ba. Chapter 840. Xiahou Ba was not in a good mood recently. He was drinking alone. The cause was the defeat of Beilu country by Zhulu country a few months ago. He did not care about the fight between the 2 small countries. The key was that the Rain Transformation Heavenly Master had mysteriously died because of it. The 3 talents Imperial Art was in the hands of the Rain Transformation Heavenly Master. Now that he was dead, it was unknown who had taken the art. Trying to find it was like looking for a needle in a haystack. "General, someone wants to see you." A guard reported from outside. Xiahou Ba said impatiently, "I don't want to see anyone." "Brother Xiahou, you don't even want to see me? I specially brought good wine." Lung Shiqi's voice came from outside. Xiahou Ba suddenly raised his head. A trace of joy appeared on his face, but he immediately sighed. "So it's Brother Lung, King of the Western Wilderness. Please come in." Lung Shiqi walked in with a smile and said, "Brother Xiahou, you don't look very happy. I have prepared some gifts. I hope you don't mind." He took out a jade slip and threw it over. Xiahou Ba's heart moved. He caught it in his hand and sank his spirit into the jade slip. He immediately saw 4 floating words: 3 talents Imperial Art. 3 talents Imperial Art. You actually found this art. Xiahou Ba was surprised and happy. He originally thought that he would never get this art. Just when he was full of worry, Lung Shiqi gave it to him. This made Xiahou Ba, who had been longing for 3 talents Imperial Art, so happy that he did not care about his identity. He suddenly had a thought. Since the rain-forming Heavenly Master was already dead, then where did Lung Shiqi get the cultivation method? Or was it Lung Shiqi who killed the Rain Transformation Heavenly Master? Lung Shiqi did not explain further and let Xiahou Ba guess blindly. "Brother Xiahou, I wonder if you are satisfied with this gift." "Ha ha ha ha." Xiahou Ba laughed heartily. He put his arm around Lung Shiqi's shoulder and said, "Brother, from now on you're my brother. I don't dare to promise you anything else, but if you have any trouble in the Western Wilderness Prefecture, I can solve it for you." Lung Shiqi thought that Xiahou Ba was too realistic. Of course this was exactly what he wanted. He said, "Speaking of which, I do have something to trouble Brother Xiahou." "Just say it." Xiahou Ba seemed to have a plan in mind. He beckoned with his hand, looking heroic. His Majesty has already ordered me to go to the Northern Wei Empire to participate in the All-Spirit Gathering. Lung Shiqi revealed his worries about leaving the Thunderflame Empire. Hearing that, Xiahou Ba agreed without hesitation. So it's just a small matter. Brother Lung, don't worry, our Western Wasteland province has always kept a close eye on those spirit cultivator sects. No matter how much courage they have, they wouldn't dare to provoke the Western Wasteland King's mansion. As such, Lung Shiqi was relieved. Brother Lung, since you brought the 3 talents imperial art according to our agreement, you can take this jade scroll. What was recorded inside was Xiahou Ba's self-created fist technique, tyrannical barrier. After completing the transaction, Lung Shiqi exchanged a few pleasantries and left. After going through so much trouble, he finally had time to go into seclusion. The first thing he did was to enter the minor 5 elements chaos paradise. He had already been here 3 times. The first time was when he participated in the elite meeting. The last time was when he hid his identity to participate in the first Spirit Cultivator Conference. And now, the minor 5 elements chaos paradise was in his hands. Lung Shiqi went straight to the most mysterious chaotic area. He then sat down cross-legged and began to comprehend the power of the 5 elements. Time passed quietly without anyone noticing. A year later, Northern Wei Empire, Wei capital. The Northern Wei Empire's capital was naturally smaller than the Thunderfire Empire's, but it was still a rare megacity. However, even such a large city was currently overcrowded. It was because the Myriad Spirit Gathering held by the Northern Wei Empire was about to begin. This Myriad Spirit Gathering could be considered the most lively event in the entire Falling Star continent in recent years. Last time, the first Spirit Cultivator Assembly of the Thunderfire Imperial Dynasty was basically targeted at the Spirit Cultivators within their borders. Furthermore, the winners did not receive much other than fame. The Myriad Spirit Gathering was different. The Northern Wei Empire was willing to use the Ashen Aeon realm as a reward. Everyone who came to participate in the Myriad Spirit Gathering was aiming for the Ashen Aeon realm. In the Wei capital, a man and a woman were walking together in the bustling crowd. The man was dressed in black. He was handsome and tall, and his every move exuded the aura of a superior. He was Lung Shiqi, who had been in seclusion for a long time. For the past year, he had been comprehending the power of the 5 elements in the minor 5 elements chaos paradise. He had made some progress, but it was far from enough. Now that he thought about it, it was a rare opportunity for him to comprehend the power of 3 through the 3 talents imperial art. After a long period of meditation, Lung Shiqi felt a little anxious and irritated. It was good to come out for a walk. This is the first time I've come to the Wei capital after being in the Northern Wei Empire for so long. If it weren't for the Myriad Spirit Gathering, I wouldn't have been able to enter. The one who spoke was the enchanting woman. She was 9 Leave. 9 Leave had completely recovered her cultivation. A few days ago, Lung Shiqi came out of seclusion. 9 Leave had been recuperating in the underworld for the past year. Perhaps it was because of this injury that her cultivation had improved, allowing her to recover to the realm of a stage 7 great demon. Lung Shiqi contributed a lot of advancement pills, allowing 9 Leave to completely recover her cultivation in just a few days. 9 Leave's strength was close to the middle stage of the heavenly origin realm after obtaining Ghost Emperor Yao Ye's inheritance. Now that she had recovered to the 7th stage, her strength was probably comparable to the late stage of the heavenly origin realm. As for Lung Shiqi himself, he wasn't sure how strong he was now. After all, he hadn't used the tripartite Dharma seal and the Eye of the 6 Paths. He could use the Myriad Spirit Gathering to find an opponent to test. As he walked, he said, "The Wei capital is smaller than the Thunderblaze Empire, but the defenses are not low. Normally, with your stage 7 great demon aura, you would be discovered before you even got close. The little thing you gave me doesn't have much battle strength, but it's very good at hiding aura." 9 Leave was talking about the Gu King that Lung Shiqi hadn't used for a long time. He had lent the Gu King to 9 Leave to hide her demonic aura, which was why they could enter the Wei capital. Soon the two walked into a 7-story tall gorgeous building. This was the Thunderblaze Empire's encampment in the Wei capital. Lung Shiqi didn't deliberately change his appearance, so he was recognized as soon as he walked in. A group of people immediately came over to greet him. "Greetings, Your Highness." One of them was short and fat and looked very tactful. He walked forward and said, "I am Ban Ning. Your residence has already been arranged. Please follow me, Your Highness." Lung Shiqi didn't say anything and walked away. Everyone saw 9 Leave, but no one said anything. It was normal for the king of the West to have a beauty by his side. Ban Ning didn't stop talking along the way. He even introduced some of the rules of the Myriad Spirit Gathering to Leng Shiqi. The rules of the Myriad Spirit Gathering were very different from the world's first Spirit Cultivator Gathering. Back then, Leng Shiqi went through a few rounds of auditions in various cities. Only the experts who advanced in the end were qualified to come to the imperial capital. However, the Myriad Spirit Gathering was different. Anyone who was willing to participate could directly come to the Wei capital to sign up. The biggest difference was that there was no restriction on cultivation realm. In other words, even if you were in the spirit transformation realm, you could also participate in the 4 realms of heaven and man unity realm. The premise was that you had to know your own limits. This was specially prepared for those who had the ability to fight above their realm. Of course, there were very few of them. And Leng Shiqi was one of them. Chapter 841. Leng Shiqi was preparing to directly participate in the competition of Tianyuan realm. With his current strength, it would be meaningless to fight with those in the oneness of heaven and men realm. It would be pure bullying. He was not afraid of exposing his strength. On the contrary, he just wanted to stand out and draw some people out. Ban Ning arranged for Leng Shiqi and 9 leave to stay in an extremely luxurious room. Then he left with a meaningful smile and tactfully left. In the end, Leng Shiqi specially said that he would not see any guests recently and no one was allowed to disturb him. The smile on Ban Ning's face became wider. 9 leave picked up a fruit on the table and said while eating, "It seems that the Thunderfire dynasty attaches great importance to this all-spirits meeting." Since entering here, 9 leave had found a large number of masters, most of whom were young people. Leng Shiqi rolled his eyes and saw many acquaintances. Delta Origi also came. To his surprise, Delta Origi's cultivation had already reached the peak of Gang Spirit realm. She could try to break through to the oneness of heaven and men realm. He clearly remembered that when he went to the imperial capital to get the small chaos cave of 5 elements last time, Delta Origi was still at the late stage of Gang Spirit realm. It was only a year later that she reached the peak. Leng Shiqi took a closer look and found that Delta Origi's spiritual aura was mixed with a few traces of blood chi. He thought to himself, could it be that her blood shadow secret method has been perfected and thus she broke through a small realm? In addition to Delta Origi, several deputy directors of the Dark Thunder Guard and Wu Diao were also here. The people of the Discipline Commission were almost the same. Zhuge Puha and Di Chuan were also here. The 5 members of the elite society had actually gathered here. These people were all people with great potential. The Thunderfire dynasty also wanted to use the All-Spirits meeting as an opportunity to train them. What surprised Leng Shiqi the most was that there were 3 experts in the Tianyuan realm in the restaurant. 2 of them were very strange. He had never seen them before. The other one was very familiar. That was the expert of the Imperial Hall of Worship of the Thunderfire dynasty, who was also the old man of the elite club. Among the 2 strangers, one of them had a huge spiritual aura that was like a volcanic eruption, which made people dare not look directly at him. He must be at the top level of Sky Origin stage. This time the Thunderflame dynasty was really going all out. They even sent someone at the peak of the Heavenly Origin stage. However, thinking about it, the chaos Zhuozhou had caused in the demonic Miasma mountain range had infuriated the ministers of the Thunderflame dynasty. Taking advantage of the All-Spirits gathering, they sent a Sky Origin stage cultivator to the Northern Wei Kingdom to crush the Sky Origin stage cultivators. Since Zhuozhou, the head of the consecrated hall, was dead, how many more peak-level Sky Origin stage cultivators could the Northern Wei Empire send out? Seeing these people, Leng Shiqi did not take the initiative to look for them. He had more important things to do. Leng Shiqi turned his head and said to 9 leave, "The Myriad Spirit Gathering will officially begin in 5 days. We have to use these few days to prepare everything." 9 leave understood and said fiercely, "Let's go to the Blood Beast sect first. They're the ones who beat me up the most. It would be best if we can capture Xie Pingyu. Xie Pingyu is currently in the Wei capital. It won't be easy to kill him. Then let's lure him out. I believe you have a way." 9 leave winked at Leng Shiqi. Leng Shiqi pretended not to see. He opened the system map and saw that the Blood Beast sect was thousands of miles away from the Wei capital. Distance was nothing to him. He could teleport thousands of miles with his Fate ability. Furthermore, he was omnipotent. It would only take him 2 to 4 hours to reach the Blood Beast sect. Then his figure flickered, and another Leng Shiqi appeared. "I'll leave an illusion here. If anything happens, contact me through the underworld at any time." 9 leave picked up another fruit and said, I don't know what this is called, but it's quite tasty. Go on. With me here, what are you worried about? Lung Shiqi's heart skipped a beat. It's because it's you that I'm worried. He did not say anything and disappeared from the Wei capital in a tricolored light. Soon Lung Shiqi saw the blood beast sect. It was a mountain range where he could smell the thick smell of blood from afar. He could also vaguely hear the roars of demon beasts. Lung Shiqi stopped and put on the clothes of the Emperor of Fengdu. He did not use any seals, but the vitality in his body was rapidly dissipating. In an instant he was like a lifeless rock. Although he did not comprehend the power of the 5 elements in the year of seclusion, he was more proficient in the spells of the 5 elements. In particular, he had already grasped a trace of the law of earth, which belonged to the 5 elements. Now, even a mystic comprehending expert could not sense his aura. This was also the reason why he could generously give the Gu King to 9 leaf. Then, Lung Shiqi sank into the ground and easily sneaked into the Blood Beast sect like a fish in water. The Blood Beast sect was worthy of being called one of the top sects in the Northern Wei Empire. They had tens of thousands of disciples, and these people were not just any random Tom, Dick, or Harry. They must have extraordinary talent to be qualified to enter the Blood Beast sect. Lung Shiqi summoned Zhuozhou's soul beast ghost. He was the sect master of the Blood Beast sect back then, so he was very familiar with this place. Tell me where the beast cesspool is. The beast cesspool was the place where the Blood Beast sect imprisoned a large number of demon beasts. The foundation of the Blood Beast sect was naturally the demon beasts. They were constantly capturing countless demon beasts from the northern wastelands. However, the captured demon beasts could not be directly refined. Instead, they had to be properly trained to make them more docile. Otherwise, those low-level disciples would not be able to control the demon beasts at all. Those demon beasts were imprisoned in the beast cesspool. The purpose of Lung Shiqi's trip was here. Now, more than half of the experts of the Blood Beast sect had gone to the Wei capital. Even the sect master, Situ Huanshu, and the great elder, Xie Pingyu, had gone. There were at most 1 or 2 Sky Origin Realm experts left in the sect. If the beast cesspool was destroyed at this time, all the demon beasts inside would be released. The Blood Beast sect would definitely be in chaos. One had to know that those demon beasts absolutely hated the people of the Blood Beast sect to the bone. They wanted nothing more than to tear them to pieces. Once there was chaos, the people of the Blood Beast sect would be caught off guard and many would die. However, it was still difficult for the demon beasts in the beast cesspool to harm the Blood Beast sect. After all, there were still Sky Origin Realm experts in the Blood Beast sect. Moreover, there were definitely many formations and methods to deal with demon beasts. Lung Shiqi's purpose was to use the chaos in the beast cesspool to lure out the experts of the Wei capital. Of course, the sect master and the great elder had to be notified immediately after the chaos. With such a big thing happening, they would more or less send people back. Situ Huanshu, the sect master, would most likely not return. As for the remaining people, Xie Pingyu was the most suitable. What Lung Shiqi really wanted to do was to intercept and kill Xie Pingyu midway. If Xie Pingyu did not return, it did not matter. No matter who it was, he would still kill. Chapter 842. The ghost beast pointed in a direction. Lung Shiqi was not in a hurry. The beast hell was obviously guarded by strong cultivators, and there were definitely many formations. It was impossible to rush in rashly. If he did not make use of the previous sect master of the Blood Beast sect, it would be a waste of resources. He asked, "Tell me the specific situation of the beast hell. It would be best if there is a way to enter smoothly." The ghost beast's spiritual sense was not very high, and he spoke a little haltingly, "Master, the beast hell is guarded by a heaven origin realm cultivator at all times. There are layers of formations and restrictions. In the past, this servant could quietly enter without being noticed, but after a long time, the holes in the restrictions may have been repaired. This ghost beast actually had a way to enter." Lung Shiqi later investigated Zhuozhou's life. Back then, he secretly got some demonic beasts for experiments. In the beginning, the source of those demonic beasts was very likely the beast hell. This sect master was really not careless in poaching his own family's people. With the ghost beast as an insider, the man and ghost freely traveled through the Blood Beast sect as if there was no one around. Some of the important places had array formations, but the beast ghosts were always able to quietly create a small hole in the array formations. That was why no one noticed them even after they entered the beast hell. The beast hell was built under the Blood Beast sect and had a total of 3 floors. The first floor was the largest and it was filled with low-level demonic beasts. The second floor was mainly for 4th level and 5th level demonic beasts. As for the third floor, It was specially prepared for 6th-level demonic beasts. Lung Shiqi and the ghost beast entered the first floor. Strangely, it was not as noisy as he imagined. Instead, it was very quiet. Occasionally, there would be a few low roars of demonic beasts. The ghost beast explained, "These demonic beasts have been put on beast rings and stripped of all their demonic power. They are basically the same as ordinary beasts. Every once in a while, the restrictions in the beast rings will be triggered, making the demonic beasts live a life worse than death, so they are usually very obedient." Lung Shiqi glanced around. The first floor of the beast hell held over 10,000 demonic beasts. Although they were only low-level demonic beasts, if all of them ran out and caused trouble, the Blood Beast sect would be very busy. "How do we destroy the beast cesspool's array formation and those beast hoops?" The ghost beast said word by word. "This servant has the method to remove the beast ring, but it won't be easy to destroy the array. This beast cesspool is the foundation of the Blood Beast sect, and only the sect masters of each generation know where the core of the array is." Situ Huanshu must have already changed the location of the array core. If he couldn't find the array core, he could only force his way through. It will take at least a few Sky Origin stage cultivators to break through the beast cesspool's formation. But if they do that, most of the beasts inside will die. Lung Shiqi was not surprised. The beast cesspool was not a place that could be easily destroyed. "Take me to the lower 2 floors first." He wanted to know how many demonic beasts there were down there, especially the 6th-ranked demonic beasts. Those rank 6 demonic beasts were what Lung Shiqi really wanted. Firstly, he could take revenge on the Blood Beast sect. Secondly, he could use this opportunity to recruit a few rank 6 demonic beasts. Without any hindrance, they arrived at the 3rd level of the beast cesspool without a hitch. Lung Shiqi looked around. Unexpectedly, this place was empty. He immediately felt that something was wrong. With the Blood Beast sect's strength, it was not difficult to catch a few rank 6 demonic beasts. How could there not be a single one on the 3rd time? Or was it a coincidence that all the demonic beasts here had been taken away for blood refinement? If that was the case, Lung Shiqi could only admit that he was unlucky. He asked the beast ghost, "Was the 3rd level of the beast cesspool empty like this in the past? This has never happened before. Under any circumstances, the beast cesspool would ensure that there are demonic beasts present." Lung Shiqi felt that it was true. This place was too important to the Blood Beast sect. If he was in charge of the Blood Beast sect, he would not leave the beast cesspool empty. At the very least, he would leave 1 or 2 spares. Since this situation had occurred, it meant that something big had happened inside the Blood Beast sect. The beast ghost wandered around and suddenly raised its hand to point in a direction. "Master, there seems to be another entrance there." There was another entrance? Could it be that there was a 4th level of the beast cesspool? The beast ghost had left the Blood Beast sect for a long time, so it was reasonable for there to be some changes in the beast cesspool. Lung Shiqi walked to the place the beast ghost pointed at, but he did not find anything. This is a new restriction. This servant does not know how to pass through it. If there is any movement, it will be discovered by the people of the beast cesspool. Lung Shiqi did not understand formations, but he had his own way. Immediately after, his consciousness entered the underworld and communicated with Oziu. "You still went." Oziu was naturally referring to Lung Shiqi going to the Northern Wei Empire. Lung Shiqi did not care too much about the so-called heavenly secrets. He said, "Since you're here, let's take things as they come. There's something I need your help with. If I help you, it might be the cause of your death." "Are you sure?" Oziu said mysteriously. Lung Shiqi paused for a moment. Could it be that his sneaking into the Blood Beast sect today was arranged by his fate? "I'm just guessing. It's also possible that I won't help you. Who can say for sure? If you really want my help, I'll go with you." Oziu's words became more and more like a fraud. Lung Shiqi did not say much and directly brought Oziu to the beast cesspool. "Try to help me find the entrance to the next level. It would be best if you could find the formation core here." When he attacked the 1,000 Illusionary Sword sect, Oziu had easily calculated the location of the formation core. Therefore, Lung Shiqi had planned to ask Oziu for help from the beginning. Oziu nodded slightly. Then his eyes suddenly turned gray. There seemed to be no life in his eyes. He slowly walked on the 3rd level like a walking corpse. Lung Shiqi used the power of the earth to help him hide his aura. A moment later, he stopped in a corner and said, "Strange, I found the weakness of the entrance to the next level. I can try to take you to the next level. I also found the location of the formation core, but that formation core gives me the feeling that it's alive." A formation core, but it's alive. Even Lung Shiqi had never heard of this kind of thing. "Do you want to go down?" Oziu looked deeply at Lung Shiqi and asked. Lung Shiqi did not hesitate at all. Go. Fine. Oziu then formed a series of seals. The air in front of him twisted and a narrow door appeared. Lung Shiqi's body moved and entered. Oziu paused for a moment and followed. However, the fourth level of the beast cesspool shocked them. There was actually a huge blood-colored altar here. Lung Shiqi was very familiar with it. It was almost the same as the altar set up by the beast ghosts in the demon miasma mountain range. In the middle of the altar, there were chains made of dense runes binding a giant beast that was thousands of feet in size. After Lung Shiqi and Oziu arrived, the giant beast suddenly opened its scarlet eyes and roared with hatred, "It's you!" Chapter 843. However, the target of the beast's roar was not Lung Shiqi or Oziu, but the beast ghost. At this moment, Lung Shiqi remembered that at the last moment of the battle with Zhuozhou, a part of the beast ghost appeared. Now it seemed to be the beast in front of him. He glanced at the beast ghost and saw that the beast ghost's expression showed a trace of astonishment. The beast ghost was already a wisp of soul. After being transformed into a ghost slave by Lung Shiqi, it only retained its memories from when it was alive. In fact, it did not have a true sense of self-consciousness. In other words, it should not have any expression at all. At this moment, Lung Shiqi clearly felt that the beast ghost's soul fluctuations had a huge fluctuation. Something must have happened between the beast ghost and the beast ghost, and it was not a happy kind. Lung Shiqi raised his head and looked directly at the beast. Since the other party only used its mind just now, it meant that it did not want to alarm the guard of the beast hell. The beast was sealed by countless chains, so he could not feel a strong aura. However, to be able to be suppressed in the fourth layer of the beast hell by the blood beast sect and set up so many restrictions, this beast was definitely very strong. In particular, Lung Shiqi also saw a few fresh demon beast corpses below the beast. From the aura they were all rank 6 demon beast corpses. It turned out that the rank 6 demon beasts in the third layer of the beast hell were all sent to the fourth layer as food for the beast in front of him. Lung Shiqi could not help but be curious. What exactly was this beast? You seem to hate him a lot? Lung Shiqi transmitted. The beast's eyes were almost spitting fire. Zhuozhou, you stole my power source and still dare to come back. At the same time, Lung Shiqi secretly calmed the beast ghost's emotions and asked, "What is it, and what does it have to do with you?" The beast ghost explained, "Master, it is called the beast sovereign in the blood beast sect. It is both the guardian of the blood beast sect and the source of its power. The blood beast sect uses blood beasts as its foundation, but the higher the rank of the demon beast, the rarer it is. After many years of hunting, the number of high-level demonic beasts in the extreme northern wastelands was getting fewer and fewer. As for those rank 7 great demonic beasts, they all had their own forces. Even the blood beast sect didn't dare to go deep into the extreme northern wastelands to capture rank 7 great demonic beasts. When someone in the sect broke through to the Sky Origin stage but didn't have a rank 7 great demon beast by his side, he would be considered mediocre among those of the same level. In order to solve this problem, the upper echelons of the blood beast sect had been thinking of ways to solve it. In the end, they had all set their sights on the venerable beast. They had researched all kinds of methods to obtain power from the revered beasts, and from there they could cultivate high-level demonic beasts. But after so many years, the sovereign beast's power was slowly weakening. If it continued like this, the sovereign beast would die sooner or later. The higher-ups of the sect had no choice but to completely seal the venerable beast as their last trump card. Later, when I became the sovereign, I created a secret technique. If I succeeded, I could allow a rank 6 monster beast to avoid the heavenly tribulation and take advantage of the opportunity to advance into a rank 7 monster. Although they did not have demon souls and could not be considered true great demons, their strength was not much different. They could completely solve the most troublesome problem for the blood beast sect. Unfortunately, studying this secret technique required a large number of high-level demonic beasts. The sect did not agree with this approach, so I could only secretly steal some demonic beasts. As the secret technique became more and more perfect, ordinary demonic beasts could no longer satisfy me. I could only think of using the power of the sovereign beast. At this point, Lung Shiqi finally understood that the ghost beast's actions were actually for the sake of the sect. Unfortunately, as the sovereign, he did not have enough power. He could not do whatever he wanted in the blood beast sect, so he could only secretly do something. He had to admit that being the sovereign was quite sullen. The ghost beast continued, "In the end, I simply set up an altar and directly absorbed a part of the sovereign beast's power. With this, I broke through to the peak of the Sky Origin stage in one fell swoop and gradually perfected my secret technique. However, everything had been exposed by then. The entire sect was furious, and I was later reduced to a traitor of the Blood Beast sect. Lung Shiqi knew what happened after that. Zhuozhou was rescued by the people of the Northern Wei dynasty and then joined the Hall of Worship as the head of the sect. From what happened in the demonic Miasma mountain range, the Ghost Beast's secret technique was indeed successful. The Demon Sable and the Heavenly Winged Tiger were the finished products. However, the Ghost Beast's actions also touched the bottom line of the Blood Beast sect. They believed that he stole the Sovereign Beast's power source for his own personal gain, causing the Sovereign Beast's power to be greatly damaged. That was the foundation of the Blood Beast sect. If the Ghost Beast's secret technique had been perfected at that time, it might have made sense. Unfortunately, it was not. He could only be surrounded and killed by his own people. It was clearly a series of actions made by the Sovereign for the sake of the sect, but in the end he became a traitor of the Blood Beast sect. It was really ironic. No wonder the demonic beast had such a big reaction when it saw the Ghost Beast again. At the same time, Lung Shiqi also thought that since the Ghost Beast had mastered that kind of secret technique, then he still had Lu Ho and the other rank 6 demonic beasts under his command. It was not enough. He could use the secret technique to advance to rank 7. If he really succeeded, then he would have the combat power of 4 rank 7 demonic beasts. Of course, this was all for later. The most important thing now was to deal with this demonic beast. It was called the Sovereign Beast by the Blood Beast sect, so it should not be locked in the 4th layer of the beast cesspool, let alone be so miserable. After Zhuozhou left the Blood Beast sect, there were probably people in the Blood Beast sect who wanted to copy Zhuozhou and steal the Sovereign Beast's power. This gigantic blood-red altar was the proof of that. Lung Shiqi said, "The Zhuozhou you hate is already dead. What you see now is only a wisp of his soul. You should not only hate Zhuozhou, right?" The Sovereign Beast's gaze turned to Lung Shiqi. He suddenly felt an ancient demonic aura pressing down on him. If it was an ordinary Unity of Heaven realm cultivator, he would probably be seriously injured. However, this pressure on Lung Shiqi was like a clay ox entering the sea. It could not hurt him at all. The Sovereign Beast lowered his head and said solemnly, "Who are you?" Strength was so important everywhere. It was because of Lung Shiqi's strength that he had the qualifications to talk to the Sovereign Beast. Otherwise, he would probably become the Sovereign Beast's food. Who I am is not important. The key is that I am the enemy of the Blood Beast sect. Lung Shiqi did not know why the Sovereign Beast was willing to be enslaved by the Blood Beast sect for thousands of years, but he knew very well that the Sovereign Beast must hate the Blood Beast sect to the core. If he could release this Sovereign Beast, it would definitely be a blow to the Blood Beast sect. The Sovereign Beast's body suddenly emitted a wave of energy, but he immediately withdrew it. He asked cautiously, "What do you want to do?" Lung Shiqi shrugged his shoulders. "Nothing. I just want to take revenge on the Blood Beast sect." "With just you?" The Sovereign Beast was somewhat disdainful. Even if Lung Shiqi was not weak, it was still far from enough to fight against the Blood Beast sect alone. Lung Shiqi was about to speak when Ozu suddenly sent a voice transmission. "It is the eye of the beast cesspool." Chapter 844. The Venerable Beast was the formation core of the Beast Hell. Lung Shiqi and Ozu both found it strange. How could a formation core be alive? It turned out that the Blood Beast sect had used the Venerable Beast as the formation core of the Beast Hell. No. Lung Shiqi didn't think it was that simple. The Venerable Beast and the Beast Hell were both extremely important to the Blood Beast sect. The Venerable Beast was sealed in the 4th level of the Beast Hell. Since they wanted to seal it, how could they use it as the formation core? Did I seal myself? This kind of thing seemed a bit inconceivable, but it happened right in front of Lung Shiqi's eyes. This made his thoughts gradually extinguish. Because he had already thought that there was only one possibility for the Venerable Beast to voluntarily stay in the 4th level of the Beast Hell. That was benefits. In this world, only benefits were paramount. Tap tap. At this moment, faint footsteps sounded from the 4th level of the Beast Hell. Could it be that he had inadvertently alarmed the Guardian here? Lung Shiqi looked around. There was nothing else in the 4th level of the Beast Hell other than the altar and the strange beasts. The strange thing was that he didn't see any spiritual aura. Even if the supercilious eye was getting more and more useful, it wasn't to the extent that he couldn't even see a shadow. Then, the Venerable Beast opened its bloody mouth as if it was mocking him. All of a sudden, a hole opened up in front of his chest. Tendrils that looked like meridians spread out, and a figure slowly walked out from within. This person was actually inside the venerable beast's body. No wonder Leng Shiqi couldn't sense the other party's spiritual aura. An evil youth in a blood-red robe walked out. Seeing this person, Leng Shiqi's eyes flashed. He had seen this person before. When he was still in the spiritual pulse realm, he had met the disciples of the Blood Beast sect and the Imperial Beast camp in the demonic Miasma mountain range. The person in front of him was a genius disciple of the Blood Beast sect who had also cultivated the demonic beast technique, Zhuoduanya. At that time he was still fighting with the people of the Imperial Beast camp for the Vermilion Crag Beast. Later Leng Shiqi benefited from it. What surprised Leng Shiqi was that he remembered that Zhuoduanya had just broken through to the spirit pulse stage not long ago. However, Zhuoduanya's cultivation was actually at the heaven origin stage. Leng Shiqi's first thought was that it was impossible. It only took Leng Shiqi a few years to reach the sky origin stage from the spiritual pulse stage. Even Leng Shiqi couldn't do that. How did Zhuoduanya do it? Or did Zhuoduanya have an even stronger fortuitous encounter? However, cultivation did not represent everything. Even if Zhuoduanya was at the heavenly origin stage, Leng Shiqi had nothing to be afraid of. Many divine origin stage cultivators had died in his hands. If he had to, he did not mind completing the quest to upgrade the Mansion of the Dead. The next upgrade of the underworld required 10 divine origin souls. He had already collected the souls of the startling Dragon Sword King, the Divine Firmament Supremacy, and the Rain Transformation Heavenly Master in Zhulu Nation and Beilu Nation. It would be nice to have one more. Zhuoduanya did not know that Leng Shiqi wanted to kill him. He put his hands behind his back and sneered. "You are the one who wants to take revenge on the Blood Beast sect?" When the beast ghost behind Leng Shiqi saw Zhuoduanya, its soul trembled slightly. It actually took the initiative to say 2 words. "Duanya." The beast ghost did not have a physical body. Normal people could not even see it. However, a heavenly origin stage cultivator could see it clearly. Zhuoduanya's expression instantly froze. He said in shock, "Ji grandfather?" Leng Shiqi could not help but turn his head. The beast ghost and Zhuoduanya were actually grandfather and grandson. The beast ghost was Zhuozhou. Both of them had the surname Zhuo. However, there were many people with the same surname. Leng Shiqi had never thought in this direction. He did not expect to see a grandfather and grandson reunite in the 4th level of the beast cesspool. Zhuoduanya immediately saw that something was wrong with the beast ghost. He immediately rushed in front of the beast ghost. He was very agitated. Meanwhile, Leng Shiqi realized that there was a blood vessel-like thread behind Zhuoduanya. The other end was connected to the beast venerable's body. What was the relationship between this man and beast? Ever since he entered the beast cesspool, he encountered one question after another. He still did not know the true relationship between the beast ghost and Zhuoduanya. He secretly let the beast ghost test it out. "Grandfather, how did you become like this?" Zhuoduanya reached out his hand, but it went through the beast ghost's body. He could not help but ask anxiously. The beast ghost slowly said, "I was ambushed by an expert in the Thunderfire dynasty and almost died. The Emperor of Fengdu gave me a part of my soul. That is why I am barely alive now. Duanya, what happened to your cultivation?" The beast ghost finally asked a question. Zhuoduanya's expression turned serious. He turned to look at the beast venerable, as if he was trying to get the beast venerable's instructions. Seeing that the beast venerable did not have any reaction, Zhuoduanya explained, "Grandfather, after you left the sect, Sidu Huanshu began to clean up the Zhuo clan's disciples. Father also escaped because of this. I don't know if he is alive or dead. Fortunately, I was still young at that time and my talent was very high. That was why I was able to stay. Until a few years ago, the great elder Xie Pingyu suddenly found me and accepted me as his disciple. At first, I was very grateful to him, but I didn't expect that he had always been coveting the secret method that you had researched. I didn't know the secret method, and I only had a few words left behind by grandfather. I had no choice but to continue researching. Xie Pingyu secretly provided the materials of demonic beasts. 2 years ago, the beast venerable was alarmed by an inexplicable power. Xie Pingyu took this opportunity to persuade the sect master to build the 4th layer of the beast prison and seal the beast venerable here. Xie Pingyu also placed me here to use the beast venerable's power to research the secret method. Little did he know. At this point, the beast venerable continued, "Little did he know that I found this brat pleasing to the eye, so I simply gave him a part of my power to help him break through to the sky origin realm. Furthermore, I willingly became his blood beast. From then on, his position in the blood beast sect was transcendent. He became the Blood Beast sect's strongest trump card and was responsible for guarding the beast prison. After listening to Zhuo Duanya's experience, Leng Shiqi sneered in his heart. The beast venerable became Zhuo Duanya's blood beast? Leng Shiqi absolutely did not believe it. It was more likely that Zhuo Duanya became the beast venerable's puppet. In the past, the beast venerable should have been sealed and was in a deep sleep most of the time. But now it looked like it was still sealed, but it secretly controlled Zhuo Duanya, the guardian of the beast prison. Not only could it wake up at any time, but it also had the opportunity to replenish its own power. The corpses of those 6th-rank demonic beasts explained everything. Leng Shiqi was not aware of Xie Pingyu's conspiracy, nor was he aware of the beast venerable's true purpose. These were not so important. When the beast venerable discovered the beast ghosts, why did it specially release Zhuo Duanya? At this moment, Leng Shiqi and the beast venerable looked at each other. They both saw the same meaning in each other's eyes. A deal. I want to destroy the beast prison and cause chaos in the blood beast sect. This way I can help you cover up the dead 6th-rank demonic beast. Beast venerable, state your conditions. Leng Shiqi quietly transmitted his voice. The beast venerable's voice immediately sounded in Leng Shiqi's mind. Brat, that depends on whether you have the qualifications to make a deal with me. Chapter 845. Zhuo Duanya, who was still immersed in the reunion, suddenly had a cold expression. He turned his head with a murderous look. Leng Shiqi understood that the sovereign beast wanted Zhuo Duanya to test his true strength. He stretched out a finger and hooked it at Zhuo Duanya. His provocation was obvious. Zhuo Duanya grinned. Red light flashed in his eyes. A bloody glow rose behind him and condensed into a strange Dharma idol. It was not a demon beast but a double-faced giant. One side was fierce and ferocious, while the other side was like a god from the 9 heavens, looking down on everything. Zhuo Duanya used the sovereign beast's power to break through to the divine origin stage in a short time. His heaven and earth Dharma idol was not the sovereign beast, but such a strange thing. His momentum was not small, but the moment he made a move, he revealed that he had just entered the divine origin stage. Zhuo Duanya grabbed with his 5 fingers, and the Dharma idol emitted a bright light. In an instant, a scarlet bloody aura emerged, and an endless wave of blood rushed forward. Leng Shiqi was expressionless. He had seen Xie Pingyu use this technique in the demonic Miasma mountain range. He stood upright and a figure suddenly appeared behind him. Upon closer inspection, the figure was somewhat similar to Leng Shiqi. Immediately he threw a punch and the divine figure also threw a punch. Suddenly, a surge of domineering aura rushed to the 9 heavens, and the origin energy of heaven and earth was repelled. At this moment, the 4th level of the beast cesspool was suppressed by the boundless domineering aura. Tyrant Fist's 3rd style, Tyrant's Barrier. The fist landed and the wave of blood collapsed. Zhuo Duanya was directly sent flying by the terrifying force of the fist. Bang! Zhuo Duanya crashed into the array at the edge of the 4th level, causing the surrounding array patterns to shake. Finally he fell heavily to the ground. He won with a single punch. The difference in strength between the two sides was obvious. However, no one cheered. The beast ghost itself did not have any emotional fluctuations. Ozu was already used to Leng Shiqi's freakish strength. The sovereign beast's eyes flashed. Leng Shiqi's strength was indeed beyond his expectations. As for Zhuo Duanya, he suddenly stood up. His whole body surged with a bloody aura of a ferocious beast. Even his appearance was slowly changing. He looked like a half-demon bathed in blood. At the same time, his chi had increased tremendously. He was now approaching the middle stage of Sky Origin stage. Leng Shiqi could tell at a glance that Zhuo Duanya had used some kind of secret technique. He did not continue to pay attention to Zhuo Duanya. Instead, he said to the sovereign beast, "Is there still a need to continue fighting?" The venerable beast cackled. "Interesting. You're only in the unity of heaven and men stage, but you're already in the late stage of the Sky Origin stage. I've only seen 2 people like you in my entire life." After saying that, the crack in front of the venerable beast opened again, and dozens of tentacles directly pulled Zhuo Duanya into it. There was no point in continuing this battle. It continued. "If you want to destroy the beast cesspool's formation, I can help you, but you must hand over Zhuozhou's secret technique." It was that secret technique again. In fact, Leng Shiqi didn't pay too much attention to this secret technique from the beginning. In his heart, the beast ghost's methods were evil, so he didn't need to use it. But now, it seemed that the current head elder of the Blood Beast sect, Xie Pingyu, and the venerable beast were very interested in that secret technique. What exactly did the beast ghost discover? The beast cesspool's formation core was the venerable beast. Lung Shichi didn't know how strong the venerable beast was, but he was sure that it was impossible to kill the venerable beast. A deal was the only way. Lung Shichi let the beast ghost copy the secret technique into a jade slip and give it to the venerable beast. At the same time he kept the copy for himself. Very good. The venerable beast clearly showed some joy. I won't go back on my words. The Blood Beast sect needs to go through some turbulence. However, the Blood Beast sect can be in chaos, but it can't be destroyed. You understand, Lung Shichi? The last 3 words sounded like thunder in Lung Shichi's ears. He had never told the venerable beast his name. How did the beast ghost know? The venerable beast was far more mysterious than he had imagined. Then, the venerable beast took out a bead the size of a human head from its mouth. This is part of the beast cesspool's formation core. After it is damaged, more than half of the beast cesspool's formation will be destroyed. Lung Shichi took the bead. Before he left, he said tentatively, with the venerable beast's ability, a mere blood beast sect is not worth mentioning. What are you afraid of? In this short moment of contact with the venerable beast, he always had a feeling in his heart. The venerable beast had been in the blood beast sect for thousands of years. At first, he had always thought that the venerable beast was the nourishment of the blood beast sect. Now, he felt that the venerable beast was using the blood beast sect to hide something. However, the venerable beast was lying on the ground. The aura of its body was rapidly fading, as if it was about to fall asleep. Lung Shichi left the 4th floor with Ozu and the beast ghost. When their figures disappeared, the venerable beast suddenly opened one of its eyes. Extremely complicated emotions flashed through its eyes. Then it raised its hand and looked at the sky. Its gaze seemed to penetrate the beast cesspool, penetrate the 9 heavens and reach the top of the world. A deep fear appeared in the venerable beast's eyes. Boy, you don't know what the most terrifying thing in this world is. But his aura feels familiar. Strange. Lung Shichi came to the 2nd floor of the beast cesspool and directly crushed the bead given to him by the venerable beast. As expected, a large number of formations in the beast cesspool collapsed in an instant. His body swayed and hundreds of phantoms suddenly appeared. At the same time he performed countless spirit arts and undid all the bracelets on the monsters. After that, he was no longer needed here. These abused demonic beasts all knew what to do. Roar? Immediately after, waves of angry roars sounded in the Blood Beast sect. Soon the alarm in the sect rang loudly, and figures rushed over in a hurry. A battle between humans and monsters in the Blood Beast sect instantly began. Lung Shichi had already told 9 Leave to be prepared to intercept and kill Xie Pingyu. There were no rank 6 monsters in the beast cesspool, so it was not a big threat to the Blood Beast sect. He was sure that the Blood Beast sect would only need a moment to suppress those monsters. There was no need to ask for help from the powerhouses in the Wei capital. However, the destruction of the beast cesspool still had to be reported. Xie Pingyu would naturally know about it. This great elder secretly had designs on the venerable beast, and the venerable beast was in the 4th floor of the beast cesspool. Therefore, Xie Pingyu would definitely find a way to rush back if something happened to the beast cesspool. In a large courtyard in the Wei capital, several higher-ups of the Blood Beast sect sat together. Sect Master Situ Huanshu said in a deep voice, "In the past 2 years, many of our elite disciples have been killed by that demoness. Even an elder has fallen. This has made fewer and fewer geniuses willing to come to our sect. Don't hide your strength in this all-spirit gathering. The Blood Beast sect must take the first place." They all nodded, but in the next moment, Situ Huanshu's expression suddenly changed. He said in surprise, "The beast cesspool has been destroyed. All the monsters are causing trouble in the sect." The others were also shocked. The beast cesspool was too important to the Blood Beast sect. There were countless formations set up in it over the years. How could it be destroyed so easily? And who was the one who destroyed it? What were the casualties in the sect now? These were the things that everyone was most worried about. Among them, Xie Pingyu's expression was the worst. Not long ago he was the one who proposed to use the venerable beast as the formation core of the beast cesspool. He had his own unknown motives. But now the beast cesspool had been destroyed. Not to mention whether he would be punished by Situ Huanshu. What he was most afraid of now was whether the venerable beast had met with an accident. The beast cesspool and the beast cesspool were the foundation of the Blood Beast sect. If something happened to them, not only would he become a sinner of the Blood Beast sect, but he would also never be able to get what he wanted. He stood up and said solemnly, "Sect Master, something is wrong. Let me go back and investigate." Chapter 846. Situ Huanshu pondered for a moment and said, "We can't lose the beast cesspool and sovereign beast. Head Elder and Elder Tian go back together and stabilize the sect as soon as possible. Then find out who did it. Even a formation master can't destroy the beast cesspool's formation. There must be a mole in the sect." He wasn't worried about the blood beast sect's losses. He already knew that there were no rank 6 beasts among the rampaging beasts in the beast cesspool. The sect's strength was more than enough to deal with these beasts. It was precisely the lack of rank 6 beasts that made Situ Huanshu suspicious. The third level of the beast cesspool clearly imprisoned rank 6 beasts. If the formation was destroyed, how could they be indifferent? What worried him even more was that there were only a few people in the blood beast sect who had the ability to break the beast cesspool's formation, and they were all higher-ups. This meant that there was a mole among the higher-ups. A middle-aged man with a big belly next to Xie Pingyu stood up. He was one of the elders of the blood beast sect, Tian Qixing, and he had a cultivation at the middle stage of the Sky Origin realm. "Senior brother sect master, don't worry." Xie Pingyu didn't say much. He turned around and rushed back to the blood beast sect with Tian Qixing. After the two of them left, Situ Huanshu secretly took out a jade token and suddenly crushed it. 1,000 miles away, Xie Pingyu and Tian Qixing turned into 2 blood-colored streams of light and streaked across the sky. Suddenly the origin energy of heaven and earth surged wildly, and a misty power spread out. The two of them felt as if there was a great force on their bodies. Caught off guard, they fell from the sky. Bang! Bang! The two of them fell to the ground. They had spiritual power protecting their bodies, so naturally they weren't injured at all. However, their faces were full of seriousness and vigilance. Especially the pressure that was like Mount Tai, they had to divide a part of their strength to resist it. The person who could do this was at least a powerhouse at the late stage of the Sky Origin realm. This kind of powerhouse was very rare in the Blood Beast sect. Who could be targeting them? A blood river flowed around Xie Pingyu's body, and his killing intent soared to the sky. His voice spread all around. "You're a high-ranking person. Isn't it humiliating to hide like this?" No one answered him. There was only a violent explosion of sword intent. Under this sword, divine light suddenly appeared, and the netherworld rose in all directions. Ghosts and gods were shocked. Ghost sword. The target of this sword was not Xie Pingyu, but Tian Qixing, who was next to him. When the powerful sword intent condensed together, the power was so great that it shocked Tian Qixing. He subconsciously wanted to dodge, but the ghost god sword was no longer a simple sword. The surrounding dozens of miles had already become a sword domain, so there was no way for him to dodge. Tian Qixing instantly formed a seal, and a huge blood-red array lit up beneath his feet. A huge blood beast appeared. This blood beast had a slender body that resembled a snake and a fish. There were even 2 long dragon whiskers at the corners of its mouth. Clearly, this was the blood fiend that Tian Qixing had refined from several types of demonic beasts. "Fish python, break my sword." The fish python opened its mouth wide, expanding infinitely. In the blink of an eye, it was as if it was going to swallow the heavens and the earth, swallowing even the essence energy of heaven and earth. The ghost god sword immediately dimmed. Seeing this, Tian Qixing was secretly delighted. The greatest ability of his blood beast fish python was that it could swallow a part of the original energy of heaven and earth. The most powerful ability of the Tianyuan stage was to use the original energy of heaven and earth. Once the original energy of heaven and earth was limited, the power of the spiritual skill would be greatly reduced. At the same time, Xie Pingyu was also ready to attack. However, a demonic voice sounded, "Xie Pingyu, do you still remember me?" Immediately, countless purple demonic powers burst out of the heavenly cycle. As the demonic powers flowed, they formed a purple crystal space about 10 miles wide that enveloped Xie Pingyu. Xie Pingyu immediately recognized who it was. He shouted in horror, "Soul-leaving scorpion, you're not dead again?" The reason why he said "again" was because Nine Leaf had indeed strangely resurrected twice in his hands. The first time was in the demonic Miasma mountain range. Nine Leaf had self-destructed and her soul had been taken away by Lung Shichi. The second time was a year ago when the Blood Beast sect, the Imperial Beast abode, and the Northern Wei Empire had joined forces to kill Nine Leaf. In the end, Nine Leaf had escaped into the underworld with serious injuries. Now that Nine Leaf had appeared again, Xie Pingyu was both surprised and troubled. Nine Leaf had brought a lot of trouble to the Blood Beast sect, and many of their disciples had died. However, Nine Leaves' whereabouts were unpredictable and they couldn't kill her. Anyone would have a headache when facing such an enemy. What's more, Xie Pingyu was in a hurry to return to the Blood Beast sect and was blocked by Nine Leaf. He wanted to kill Nine Leaf 10 times over. However, he also knew that it was impossible to leave easily today. The blood river behind Xie Pingyu roared, and a strange beast the size of a small mountain with fleshy wings on its back walked out of the blood river. The strange beast clenched its fists and a visible wave spread out. This strange beast's strength was comparable to the middle stage of the Sky Origin realm. The blood beasts that the Blood Beast sect created using various secret techniques were actually very flawed. They definitely couldn't compare to a true Sky Origin realm expert. However, Xie Pingyu's strange beast had the feeling of breaking through with force, and it was obviously much stronger than when it was in the demonic Miasma mountain range. I've seen enough of your Qi-Xing beast. It's time to let you see my true body. After Nine Leaf finished speaking, boundless demonic powers and ghost aura surged around her. Her body grew a little taller, and under the encirclement of her power, a dark purple demonic armor was formed. 8 sharp spikes protruded from its back, resembling a pair of alien wings. Nine Leaf looked down from above, but there was still some divine intent in her demonic eyes. After Nine Leaf received Ghost Emperor Yao Ye's inheritance, her cultivation had finally recovered to the 7th rank. Her true body had changed from a pure demon to a half-demon half-god. A god from the underworld. At this moment, whether it was the demonic bloodline or the Ghost Emperor aura in Nine Leaf's body, they made the Qi-Xing beast feel a suppression on its soul. It even had the urge to kneel on the ground. Nine Leaf waved her hand, and a terrifying illusion of hundreds of feet appeared behind her. It was an endless hell. There was a sea of blood rising, a river flowing backward, and countless evil spirits struggling and wailing. It was clearly broad daylight, but it made Xie Pingyu and Tian Qixing feel like they had fallen into hell. Xie Pingyu's heart sank. After a year, Nine Leaf's strength had improved at a godly speed, far surpassing the last time they fought. Nine Leaf's hands formed claws, and in an instant, thousands of ghosts wailed. The heaven and earth became incomparably dark, and a powerful and cold force seemed to be able to tear the void apart. The Qi-Xing beast suddenly screamed. Xie Pingyu turned his head and saw that countless claw marks had appeared on the Qi-Xing beast's body. What astonishing speed, what powerful destructive power. No one knew better than him how powerful the Qi-Xing beast was, but now the Qi-Xing beast didn't seem to be a match for Nine Leaf. Xie Pingyu held a hooked spear and a layer of strange ripples rippled out. In the next moment, blood-colored spear shadows covered the sky, and everything nearby was sealed. However, those spear shadows were also rapidly dissipating, and they could only barely hold on. One man and one beast, yet they were firmly suppressed by Nine Leaf's strength alone. Chapter 847. Lung Shiqi originally thought that Nine Leaf's strength would be comparable to a Sky Origin late-stage cultivator after recovering to rank 7. Now that he was fighting with Xie Pingyu, he was able to suppress a Sky Origin late-stage cultivator and a blood fiend. This strength was beyond Lung Shiqi's expectations. He collected his thoughts and decided to deal with his opponent first. Tian Qixing barely blocked the demon god sword. Lung Shiqi appeared with a huge mysterious whirlpool slowly rotating above his head. Then the whirlpool turned into a huge bloody eye. There was a vertical pupil in the bloody eye, which seemed to reflect countless white bones. And those white bones were actually all kinds of demons. When the huge eye appeared, whether it was Tian Qixing's fish python or Xie Pingyu's Qi-Xing beast, they all suddenly cried out in fear. Even the fish python curled up and shivered. Eye of the 6 paths, animal path. The Eye of the 6 Paths was comprehended by Lung Shiqi not long ago when he comprehended the 6 paths of reincarnation in the underworld. Each path had a different power. This animal path could make all the demons in the world submit to the law. Lung Shiqi formed a seal and the Eye of the animal path stood behind him. Then his eyes turned into the Eye of the animal path. With just one look, the fish python suddenly seemed to be tortured. Its whole body kept twisting and a lot of terrible wounds appeared on its body. The fish python had the strength of a 7th-ranked demon, but it was so vulnerable in front of Lung Shiqi. Tian Qixing didn't know what was going on. He had never seen such a strange method since he started cultivating. But he knew that if this continued, the fish python that he had spent so much effort to cultivate would die. He was about to make a move, but suddenly he was shocked. He felt like he was being stared at by the god of death. Lung Shiqi had 4 arms on his back and instantly formed seals. In an instant, the sky was filled with thunder and lightning. Endless astral wind suddenly rose and the ground was frozen. What was even more strange was that the thunder, astral wind, and ice crystals rapidly condensed in the blink of an eye, leaving only 3 seals that were half the height of a person. But just these 3 seals were enough to make Tian Qixing tremble in fear. This was because the 3 seals exuded a power that made him both envious and fearful. The power of the laws of heaven and earth. Never in his wildest dreams did he expect that his opponent would be a Tongxian realm expert. The 3 voices drew upon the power of the laws of ice, wind, and thunder, and repelled all other energies, creating a small, narrow world with a radius of over 10,000 feet. Then, endless divine lightning struck down. Gales that could destroy the void swept across the world. Ice crystals that could freeze the past and the present were frozen. Violent energy surged in this small world as if it was the end of the world. This was the 3-talent seal that Lung Shiqi had continuously derived from the 3 talents imperial art, to the extreme. Tian Qixing was horrified. In the face of this doomsday-like power, he didn't even have a chance to fight back. Any spiritual skill or secret method was powerless in the face of this power. Lung Shiqi reached out and clenched his fist, and the whole small world collapsed. Tian Qixing, who was swallowed up, died with his eyes wide open. He asked, "Who are you?" "Underworld Emperor of Fengdu," Lung Shiqi said indifferently and then took away Tian Qixing's soul. An elder of the Blood Beast sect in the middle stage of the Heavenly Origin realm could be killed with a flip of his hand. On the other side, Xie Pingyu was also in despair. When he fought with 9 Leaf just now, although he was at a disadvantage at the beginning, he still had many trump cards. He might not be able to turn defeat into victory, but at least he was confident that he could escape unscathed. However, after Lung Shiqi's Eye of the 6 Paths appeared, Xie Pingyu's Qixing Beast was also greatly affected. It didn't even resist and allowed 9 Leaf to attack. At this time it was already covered in wounds. At this time, Xie Pingyu realized that Lung Shiqi, this mysterious person, was their Blood Beast sect's nemesis. He had already begun to think of retreating. As long as he could break through 9 Leaves' purple crystal space, he could immediately contact Sect Master Situ Huanshu. When the experts of the Blood Beast sect arrived, everything would be easy to discuss. However, when Lung Shiqi used the 3-talent seal to instantly kill Tian Qixing, Xie Pingyu was a little stunned. That mysterious person was actually a mystic comprehending realm expert. A mystic comprehending realm expert was personally dealing with them. Xie Pingyu couldn't figure out when a mystic comprehending realm expert appeared in the Northern Wei Empire. Why would he help a monster like 9 Leaf deal with the Blood Beast sect? It was useless to think about this now. With a mystic comprehending realm expert here, Xie Pingyu knew that he was no match for him. He hurriedly said, "Senior, please don't attack. There is no hatred that cannot be resolved in this world. As long as Senior is magnanimous, I am willing to pay any price." Hearing this, Lung Shiqi laughed inwardly. Back then, when Xie Pingyu displayed his might in the Demon Miasma Mountain range, Lung Shiqi was only a low-level spirit cultivator in the spirit transformation realm. Now he had become Xie Pingyu's senior. He wouldn't talk nonsense with Xie Pingyu. The other party was the great elder of a top sect, who knew how many trump cards he had. Moreover, this place was thousands of miles away from Northern Wei, but it wasn't too far for the Sky Origin realm. If Xie Pingyu spread the news, it would be troublesome. Therefore, he had to end the battle as soon as possible. 9 Leaf, help me restrain him. 9 Leaf smiled eerily. A faint purple scorpion image appeared behind her. A sharp voice pierced through Xie Pingyu's sea of consciousness and into the depths of his soul. That voice was like a hook that could directly hook out his soul. Xie Pingyu's vision darkened and felt like he was going to faint. He suddenly bit his tongue and burned all the essence blood in his body. However, he was shocked to find that a portion of his essence blood was leaving his body uncontrollably. He looked up and saw a blood mark floating in the sky. It was this thing that was guiding his essence blood. Blood guide heaven's might seal. It was specially used to deal with burning essence blood. At this moment, Xie Pingyu's soul was out of control. His essence blood was also out of control. He was also being suppressed by the gravity space, and 9 Leaves amethyst space was cutting off his spiritual sense. As for the Qixing beast, it didn't dare to move under the deterrence of the Eye of the 6 Paths. It felt like it couldn't cry out for help. It clearly had the cultivation of the Sky Origin late stage, but it couldn't even use 20 to 30% of its power. What awaited Xie Pingyu was only death. And it was an extremely sullen death. No. Xie Pingyu thought of his great ambitions. He hadn't reached his goal yet. He couldn't die like this. Meanwhile, 3 Dharma images of heaven and earth appeared beside Leng Shiqi. One of them was the Buddha of slaughter holding a Buddhist monk's blade. The other was the Emperor of Fengdu from the 9 underworlds who ruled over life and death. The Dharma image in the middle was like a god from the heavenly palace. It looked down on all living things. The 3 Dharma images swung their blades at the same time. Divine light appeared to slay gods and vanquish the void. Demonic flames filled the sky and cut through the void. Buddhist light bloomed and purified the world. The 3 flowers of God, demon, and Buddha were short-lived. Xie Pingyu turned into ashes amidst his endless terror. Chapter 848. You killed him before I even had the chance to use my full strength. Nine Leaf was a little unhappy. Xie Pingyu was one of the 2 people she hated the most. It was too easy for him to die just like that. Leng Shiqi was too lazy to answer. A Sky Origin late-stage cultivator couldn't be underestimated. If Xie Pingyu hadn't been suppressed everywhere, he wouldn't have been killed so easily. Nine Leaf didn't want to take advantage. He changed the subject and said, Xie Pingyu is dead. What are you going to do next? Xie Pingyu is dead, but the Blood Beast sect is still here. Nine Leaf's meaning was obvious. She was still going to deal with the Blood Beast sect. Leng Shiqi immediately advised, I advise you not to target the Blood Beast sect anymore. The main culprit is already dead, and the Blood Beast sect has paid with the lives of a large number of disciples and 2 elders. This is enough to eliminate the hatred in your heart. Nine Leaf was puzzled. Was this something Leng Shiqi would say? If it was in the past, Leng Shiqi would definitely try to destroy the Blood Beast sect. Even if he couldn't destroy it, he would drive the tiger to devour the wolf. In short, the Blood Beast sect wouldn't have an easy time. But Leng Shiqi said this at this time. Even Nine Leaf felt that the Leng Shiqi in front of her had been replaced. Of course, Leng Shiqi was still him. The reason why he said this was because he was very afraid of the Beast Sovereign. The mysterious and powerful Beast Sovereign. In particular, the Beast Sovereign had specifically reminded Leng Shiqi that the Blood Beast sect could be in chaos, but it couldn't be destroyed. Leng Shiqi was not afraid but steady. He explained, I found an extraordinary existence in the Blood Beast sect before. With your strength and mine, it's better not to provoke it. Nine Leaf's expression also became a little heavy. She knew Leng Shiqi very well. To be able to be evaluated by him as an existence that couldn't be provoked, it must be abnormally powerful. Well, let's put aside the grievances of the Blood Beast sect for the time being. Then I will target the Imperial Beast sect. Nine Leaf also followed her heart. To Nine Leaf's surprise, Leng Shiqi shook his head again and said, No, we can't touch the Imperial Beast camp either. One had to know that the Imperial Beast abode and the Blood Beast sect had been mortal enemies for countless years. Now that the Blood Beast sect had lost 3 Sky Origin stage experts and a large number of disciples, it could be said that it was a great loss. What do you think the Imperial Beast camp will do next? Devour the Blood Beast sect. Nine Leaf immediately understood what Leng Shiqi meant. Since the Blood Beast sect's strength had been greatly damaged, the Imperial Beast abode would naturally suppress the Blood Beast sect in all aspects. Even without Nine Leaf's intervention, the Blood Beast sect would only become more and more miserable. If Nine Leaf went to cause trouble for the Imperial Beast abode at this time, with such a powerful enemy, the Imperial Beast abode would have no time to care about the Blood Beast sect. Therefore, Nine Leaf didn't have to do anything. He just had to sit and watch the dogs bite each other. Leng Shiqi continued, Originally, the 2 top sects were on par with each other in terms of power. They fought with each other, but no one could do anything to the other. Now, the Blood Beast sect is obviously at a great disadvantage. However, the Blood Beast sect still has Situ Huanshu, the sect master, and he can't be suppressed by the Imperial Beast abode. Therefore, I predict that there will be a war between the 2 sects in the near future. When this war starts, you can secretly intervene. That will be the greatest revenge against them. After listening to this, Nine Leaf confirmed that Leng Shiqi had not been replaced. Okay, it seems that I have nowhere to go. Nine Leaf's revenge was half completed. The 1,000-legged beast king of the Imperial Beast abode, Nanmen Yun, could not be touched for the time being. It seemed that she really had nothing to do. As for participating in the all-spirit gathering, it was impossible. If she didn't make a move, the Gu King could help her cover up her aura. Once she made a move, everything would be exposed. Nine Leaf rolled his eyes and said, Forget it, then I'll go to the far northern wastelands. After all, that's the habitat of the demon clan. With my strength, I might even be able to become a demon king. As he said that, he became excited. Lung Shiqi clapped his hands and praised. Going to the far northern wastelands was good. Let's go and kill those demon beasts. You helped me kill Xie Pinyu. I don't know how to repay such a big favor. Before leaving, Nine Leaf said faintly. In the past, she often lent Lung Shiqi a part of her strength. Now that their strength had even reversed, she didn't know how to repay the favor. We've been together for a long time. It's not easy for us to get to where we are today. I can still help you with this. Lung Shiqi said generously. Immediately he changed the topic. If you must help me, that's fine. As he said that, he handed a jade slip to Nine Leaf. This is the location of the lightning-type tribulation divine thunder. It's in the far northern wastelands, but the specific location is not very clear. I don't know if it has been taken away by others. Since you're going to the far northern wastelands, why don't you help me find it on the way? I knew you wouldn't lose out. It's just a small matter. Leave it to me. Nine Leaf put away the jade slip and was about to leave. Suddenly, a roar filled with boundless anger sounded. How dare you touch my blood beast sex people? You're courting death. In the distance, dots of green light converged into a figure. The voice came from this person. It's Situ Huanshu. Nine Leaf was shocked at first. She had been using the purple crystal space to block Xie Pinyu, not giving the other party a chance to send a message. How could Situ Huanshu appear here? However, when Nine Leaf took a look, she immediately chuckled. So it's just an illusion. With this little strength, you dare to bark in front of this old lady? Evildoer, it's actually you. Situ Huanshu immediately recognized Nine Leaf and he was naturally shocked. Previously, he had sent Xie Pinyu and Tian Qixing back to the sect to suppress the riot in the beast cesspool. He had already determined that there was a mole in the main sect, so these two were naturally on his list of suspects. Therefore, he deliberately kept an eye out and released an illusion to quietly follow behind them to see if there was a mole in these two people. Unfortunately, his illusion was not fast enough, so he could only follow from a distance. By accident, he happened to see the scene of Xie Pinyu being killed. He knew that the person who could kill Xie Pinyu and Tian Qixing must be very powerful. He could not deal with him at all with his illusory body. His biggest goal was still to know who the murderer was. When he saw that it was Nine Leaf, his hatred could not help but soar. This demoness had been surrounded and killed by them several times and had not died. Now she had killed two elders of the Blood Beast sect. This enmity was absolutely irreconcilable. At the same time, Situ Huanshu also noticed Lung Shiqi. At this time, Lung Shiqi was dressed in the attire of the Emperor of Fengdu, and his aura was as unfathomable as the abyss. Situ Huanshu instantly saw that Lung Shiqi was a bigger threat than Nine Leaf. Who was this mysterious person? Before he could say anything, Nine Leaf snapped his fingers, and his illusory body was torn apart and scattered. I didn't expect Situ Huanshu to have a trick up his sleeve. Fortunately, he acted fast enough. His original body should be on the way. I'll leave first. Nine Leaf left after saying that. Lung Shiqi's palm stroked the void, and the strange power of the earth wiped out all traces of the battle. Even if Situ Huanshu came here, he would not be able to find any clues. Chapter 849. After doing this, Lung Shiqi instantly teleported back to Wei capital and returned to his room. Since the dust had settled, there was nothing for him to worry about. In order to complete the act, he specially created a fake Nine Leaf to show his face before disappearing into a corner. It had only been a day or two since he dealt with the Blood Beast sect. The myriad spirit meet was about to begin, so he should make preparations. Originally, Lung Shiqi had planned to use the sword, the blade, and the four spirits formation diagram as his main combat strength. He believed that with his physical strength and spirit power, he would be able to get a good ranking in the Sky Origin stage. He didn't need to be first. He just needed to be qualified to enter the Ashen Aeon realm. The top 5 in the Heavenly Yuan realm could enter. However, Situ Huanshu had seen his short-lived success, so he naturally couldn't use it again. This way his public strength would be weaker. He had to think of other methods. After resting for a while, Lung Shiqi called Banning over. Your Highness, please give me your orders. Banning bowed and chuckled. Give me the information on all the Heavenly Yuan realm battles and the myriad spirit meet. Lung Shiqi wouldn't be careless. He had to understand his future opponents first. Banning chuckled. I've already prepared it for your Highness. Please take a look. He presented an exquisite scroll to Lung Shiqi. Lung Shiqi nodded his head in satisfaction and began to read it. There were far more heavenly Yuan realm experts participating in the myriad spirit meet than the world's first spirit cultivator meet. After all, the Thunderblaze dynasty's relationship with the spirit cultivator sects was too strained. Almost no one dared to come. Only the Supreme Saber Hall's Hall Master, Fu Yingxi, came. In the end, he brought back the title of #1 in the world and was made a fool of by the Thunderblaze dynasty. It was said that Fu Yingxi didn't have an easy time after that. Heavenly Yuan realm experts came to challenge him every few days. If he accepted the challenge, the challengers would only become stronger and stronger. He would lose sooner or later. If he didn't accept the challenge, he would only be scolded as a coward. Yushu was in the Supreme Saber Hall. It was said that Fu Yingxi was in a sorry state all day, his face as dark as the bottom of a pot. In the end, Fu Yingxi couldn't take it anymore. He could only take the initiative to give up the title of #1 in the world. Whoever wanted to fight for it could do so. 33 Sky Origin Stage cultivators had signed up for the All Spirits Gathering. More than half of them were experts from the Northern Wei Empire. For example, the Imperial Beast Abode and the Blood Beast sect had 7 experts in total. There was also the Heavenly Dipper sect, one of the 5 level sects, and the Fallen Cherry Spirit region, one of the 4 sacred spirit regions. The remaining people were from the Thunderblaze dynasty and the Starfall dynasty. The one from the Thunderfire dynasty was Xian Haoying. Lung Shiqi had sensed her spiritual energy before, and she was definitely at the peak of the Heaven Origin stage. The strongest person from the Starfall dynasty was the Duke of Qi. Whether it was strength or prestige, he was extremely high in the Starfall dynasty. It was said that he had already touched the edge of the mystic comprehending realm. Ban Ning also marked out the strongest people among these people. The Northern Wei Empire's people were Blood Beast Sect Master Situ Huanshu, Imperial Beast Sect Master 10 Directions Beast King Luo Lu, Heavenly Dipper Sect Master Kong Jianba, and Falling Cherry Spirit Domain's Fairy Luo Ying. These people were the sect masters of the top sects in the Northern Wei Empire. If they were not at the late stage of the Heaven Origin stage, then they were at the peak of the Heaven Origin stage. Any one of them was an existence that could shake the world. The 4 of them were the most popular candidates to become the champion of the Myriad Spirit Gathering, especially Fairy Luo Ying. Many people believed that she would become the champion. However, the Thunderblaze dynasty's Imperial Consecration Hall's Xian Haoying and the Starfall dynasty's Duke of Qi were not to be underestimated. They represented their respective empires to fight for face. It could be seen that the battle between the Heaven Origin stage was extremely intense. Other than the 33 Heaven Origin stage experts, there were 2 other special people. They participated in the battle between the Heaven Origin stage experts with their unity of Heaven Origin stage cultivation. Lung Shiqi was one of them. When he saw the name of the other person, he was also surprised. 10,000 Laws Wondrous Sect, Meng Tiantian. Lung Shiqi still had a fresh memory of this person. Meng Tiantian had once used only a glance to make him sink into dozens of illusions. One had to know that Lung Shiqi's mental strength was not weak. Furthermore, he had cultivated high-level illusions. Even so, he was still in such a sorry state. It could be seen that Meng Tiantian's attainments in illusions were shocking. In Lung Shiqi's heart, other than the 6 popular experts, Meng Tiantian was the biggest threat to him. He continued to read carefully. The report also briefly described the spiritual techniques that everyone was proficient in. Of course, it was only superficial. Any Heaven Origin stage expert had many methods, and this could only be used as a reference. Time passed in a flash, and the Myriad Spirit Gathering was finally about to begin. The spirit cultivators that came from the Thunderblaze dynasty were divided into 2 types. The various sects were one type, and there were not many of them. Most of them were from sects that were closer to the Northern Wei Empire. The other type was Lung Shiqi and the other spirit cultivators that belonged to the Thunderblaze dynasty. Everyone was led by Xian Haoying, who was the strongest force that came from the Thunderblaze dynasty. Lung Shiqi was second. His cultivation was not high, but his strength was publicly recognized as comparable to the Heaven Origin stage. Furthermore, his status as the king of the West Desolation was incomparable. Even Xian Haoying was very polite to him. Everyone gathered together. Xian Haoying was a man who looked somewhat refined. His noble aura made people look sideways. He smiled and said, "I've long heard that the king of the West Desolation is young and promising. Today I've seen that you live up to your reputation." He knew that Lung Shiqi had signed up for the Heaven Origin stage competition. The key was that everyone who knew about this thought that it was normal. Even the people of the Northern Wei Empire could not find anything wrong with Leng Shiqi's battle results. They could only say that the Thunderblaze dynasty had indeed produced a peerless genius. Lord Xian is too kind. Leng Shiqi said courteously. With Lord Xian here, I think that the position of the champion will be easily obtained. There are many experts here this time. I don't dare to boast, but I still have some confidence. Xian Haoying was also quite confident. Perhaps in his eyes, only the Starfall dynasty's Duke Qi and Fairy Luo Ying had the qualifications to be his true opponents. He then looked at Delta Origi, Zhuge Puha and the rest. The dynasty has you all as pillars. What is there to worry about? Let's go to the martial field first. The martial field was the place where the Thousand Spirit Gathering was held. However, the location was not within the Wei capital, but 100 miles north. There were tens of thousands of spirit cultivators participating in the competition, and there was no lack of experts. If they all fought in the Wei capital, even with the protection of the array, it was hard to avoid some accidents. Therefore, the Northern Wei Empire specially built a place for the competition. Leng Shiqi and the rest walked out of the inn and headed towards the martial field. After they left, 3 people in black cloaks came out from the corner. Is it him? One of them asked. That's right. We waited bitterly for him in the Zhuge family for nearly 2 years, but he came directly here. Let's go. Everything is about to begin. Chapter 850. Although the martial field was called a martial field, it was actually very large. The entire martial field was built in a circular shape with more than 10 levels, making it look like a giant arena. More than 100,000 people were squeezed into the martial field like countless ants. The intense heat waves made everyone excited. They were about to witness many experts from all over the continent fighting. It must be known that those low-level spirit cultivators would only see a few high-level spirit cultivators in their entire lives. Just like when Leng Shiqi carried out his first mission in the Blood Clothing Pavilion, even if he encountered Bo Yuanho's tomb, it would only attract low-level spirit cultivators. Having 2 or 3 spirit pulse realm cultivators was enough to be called experts. Only when one's cultivation and strength increased would they have the chance to come into contact with spirit cultivators of the same level or even stronger people. Leng Shiqi and the rest were all participants. They came to the resting room through a special passage, but the group was still separated. The 3 Sky Origin Realm cultivators of the Thunderfire dynasty and Leng Shiqi were in the same room. The 3 of them were Xian Haoying, the old man, and a Sky Origin Realm middle stage expert. It was a lady in a blue dress with a veil covering her face. She had an unapproachable look. On the way here, the old man transmitted a message to Leng Shiqi. This person was a rare female in the Imperial Consecration Hall. She was an expert in water element and was called Shui Lioli. Because Leng Shiqi was going to participate in the Sky Origin Realm battle, he was also arranged to be here. Taking advantage of the fact that there was still some time before the Thousand Spirit Gathering, the few of them started to chat. The old man muttered, "There are a total of 35 people in the Sky Origin Realm and we have 4. Don't tell me we will meet in the first round." The probability of this was not small, but Xian Haoying said, "I have specifically asked about this. In the first round of the Sky Origin Realm battles, the 3 empires have a rule of avoidance. If we get an opponent from each empire, we can draw lots again." Following that, the few of them talked about the rules of the Thousand Spirit Gathering. There were no qualifiers for the Thousand Spirit Gathering, so there were tens of thousands of participants gathered in the martial field. If they were to fight one-on-one, who knew how long it would take? The Northern Wei Empire's method was to eliminate the sand with great waves. At this moment, there were dozens of towers in the center of the martial arts field, known as the Trial Towers. Over 1,000 people could enter the Tower of Trials at a time, and the time limit was 1 hour. Only the 10 people who could walk out of the Tower of Trials were qualified to enter the next round. It was said that there were many traps in the Tower of Trials, and there were even demonic beasts. Of course, the Northern Wei Empire would not allow the participants to die so easily. Therefore, there were some safe rooms in the Tower of Trials. As long as the participants entered the safe rooms, they would not be in any danger. Similarly, entering the safe room also meant that you had lost the chance to advance. After passing the Tower of Trials, all the low-level spirit cultivator would be finished in just a few rounds. The efficiency was extremely fast. However, the fluctuations from the battle between Unity of Heaven Realm and Heaven Origin Realm experts were too great. Moreover, there weren't many of them, so it wasn't suitable to use the Trial Tower. The Northern Wei Empire had used a miraculous item, the mental illusion array, to prevent the Northern Wei Empire from attacking. When the two combatants walked into the illusory array, they would be able to create a scene and an illusion of themselves. In the illusory array they would be able to imitate everything they had learned. Even their spirit weapons could be imitated. More importantly, the people outside would be able to watch the battle inside the array. To be able to watch the battle between Unity of Heaven Realm and Heaven Origin Realm experts was a rare sight. Everyone was looking forward to this. However, there were too many participants, and the Northern Wei Empire did not want the Thousand Spirit Gathering to end too early. Therefore they arranged a few Heaven Origin Realm battles every day as the finale. As the few of them chatted, time slowly passed. A portion of the low-level Spirit Cultivator, Spirit Pulse Realm, Spirit Aperture Realm, and Spirit Astral Realm battles ended. Finally, it was the Heaven Origin Realm's turn. The entire Martial Field's fiery atmosphere instantly reached its peak. Under everyone's gazes, the first pair of opponents was drawn out. Thunderous Blaze Empire's King of the West, Lung Shiqi, versus Northern Wei Empire's Demon Execution Division, Wu Changyu. The Demon Execution Division was similar to the Discipline Division of the Thunderous Blaze Empire. The difference was that other than suppressing the Spirit Cultivator sects, the Demon Execution Division also had to guard the Northern Wastelands. In the Northern Wastelands, there were often many demonic beasts that came to harass them. There were even some demonic beasts with special abilities that sneaked in and caused trouble everywhere. The Demon Execution Division also had to deal with these demonic beasts. This Wu Changyu was the commissioner of the Demon Execution Division. He could be considered the second in command and had a Heaven Origin Realm middle stage cultivation. Wu Changyu was extremely famous in the Northern Wei Empire. He even had a glorious battle record of killing a 7th level great demon by himself. Seeing that he was about to appear, everyone in the martial field immediately cheered loudly. As for Lung Shiqi, almost no one cared about him because no one knew him. The Thunderous Blaze Empire had registered him for the Heaven Origin Realm battle. Many big shots had secretly investigated him, but to a large number of low-level spirit cultivators, they did not have the qualifications. They only knew that Lung Shiqi was the Thunderous Blaze Empire's King of the West, and other than that they did not know much. The highest level of the stands was filled with famous people. When they saw that the first battle was between Wu Changyu and Lung Shiqi, they all revealed a smile that everyone understood. They were very clear that Lung Shiqi was only at the Unity of Heaven and Man realm. Although they knew that Lung Shiqi had defeated Elder Shao of the Six Directions domain and was very strong, Elder Shao had just entered the Heaven Origin Realm a few years ago, while Wu Changyu was at the Heaven Origin Realm middle stage. Furthermore, Wu Changyu was a battle maniac. He often went deep into the northern wastelands to fight with demon beasts. His battle strength was definitely at the peak of the same realm. No matter how strong Lung Shiqi was, he could not be stronger than Wu Changyu. In the end, the Thousand Spirit Gathering was organized by the Northern Wei Empire. The first and most important battle naturally had to be arranged. The Northern Wei Empire had to win. As the saying goes, pick the soft persimmon to pinch. The only opponents that could guarantee victory were Lung Shiqi and Meng Tiantian. Meng Tiantian was from the 10,000 Laws mysterious sect. Compared to Lung Shiqi, the Thunderous Blaze Empire's King of the West and one of the 4 Dark Lightning Guards, defeating Lung Shiqi in the first battle was equivalent to slapping the Thunderous Blaze Empire's face. Of course, defeating him was the most worthwhile. As for whether or not he would be accused of bullying the weak, he was the one who insisted on fighting with a Heaven Origin Realm cultivator. Who else could he blame? Everyone should know about this King of the West. What a pity. Aha, it is indeed a pity. If he were to participate in the battle of the Unity of Heaven and Man realm, with his strength, there would not be many who could be his opponent. Who asked him to not know what is good for him? He thinks that he is invincible after defeating a Heaven Origin Realm cultivator. Young people are still young people. The important figures all believed that Lung Shiqi would lose without a doubt and could not help but ridicule him. They did not deliberately hide their words, and these words were also heard by the nearby cultivators. Then it quickly spread from 1 to 10 to 100. Only now did they know that Lung Shiqi was only at the Unity of Heaven and Man realm. Chapter 851. The arena was in an uproar. More than 90% of the people present did not know about Lung Shiqi's battle record. When he stood on the stage, no one could tell his cultivation level. Whether it was Unity of Heaven or Heaven Origin, they were all existences that everyone looked up to. However, when they found out about Lung Shiqi's cultivation level, they were shocked. Heaven Origin was a super powerhouse that surpassed the four realms of heaven, and man. Unity of Heaven was like an ant in front of a Heaven Origin powerhouse. This Lung Shiqi actually dared to fight a Heaven Origin powerhouse. Did he want to die? On the stage, Lung Shiqi ignored everyone and faced his opponent. Wu Changyu of the Demon Slayers division was a little short and average-looking. However, when he stood there, he felt like a volcano that was about to erupt. No one knew how powerful his body was. Waves of astonishing battle intent surged out from him. He did not underestimate Lung Shiqi. No matter how others looked at it, Wu Changyu himself might not be able to defeat a Heaven Origin powerhouse in one strike. Maybe he could, but he would have to use all his strength. However, according to the information he received from Lung Shiqi easily defeated Elder Shao. Clearly, Lung Shiqi did not use all his strength. Therefore, he never underestimated Lung Shiqi from the beginning. The two walked into the illusory array. Lung Shiqi sat cross-legged on a piece of jade. Then, his spiritual body entered the illusory array, and a person that looked exactly like him appeared. The scenery around him had also turned into a barren land. In the distance, there were a few small hills rising and falling one after another. Lung Shiqi reached out and seemed to grab a wisp of air. It's almost the same as the outside world. This illusory array is not simple. I heard that you are very strong. I wonder how strong you are. Wu Changyu's voice came. At this time he had also entered an illusory body. He stood in the air and looked down at Lung Shiqi. You'll know when you try. Lung Shiqi stepped lightly and stood in the air. He did not control the elemental energy of heaven and earth. Instead, he used the law of Earth's anti-gravity. This scene was different in everyone's eyes. Those who did not know better would think that he had broken through to Heaven Origin. Because of this, the martial arts arena also caused a burst of exclamations. Inside the illusory array, Wu Changyu's expression froze. He had wanted to provoke Lung Shiqi with his words and attitude, but who would have thought that it would not work at all? Lung Shiqi's calmness and methods made him pay more attention to him. A spiritual sword materialized in front of Lung Shiqi. It was the Class 8 Earth weapon, 1000 Illusion Dao sword. With a thought, a layer of scarlet golden flames appeared on the sword, and there seemed to be a dragon soul swimming within it. 1000 Illusion Dao sword, crimson gold earth dragon flame, Wu Changyu muttered. The 1000 Illusion Dao sword was a rank 8 earth weapon, and it was also the most precious treasure of the 1000 Illusion Sword sect. Even in the Heaven Origin realm, it was very rare to have a spirit artifact of this level. Heavenly strange flames were even rarer than rank 8 earth soldiers. Even though Wu Changyu already knew that Lung Shiqi had them, he still frowned when he felt the sword intent and the blazing flames. He waved his hands and the surrounding origin energy of heaven and earth instantly condensed. He pointed a finger and the power of this finger shook the void, containing an extremely violent power. Wu Changyu had spent his entire life fighting against demonic beasts. His spirit cultivation path could only be described in one word: battle. When fighting demons, those fancy spirit techniques were useless. The simpler and more violent the power, the more effective it was. Lung Shiqi's finger flicked the blade of the sword, and the 1000 Illusion Dao sword immediately let out an excited cry. In an instant, the sword roared and the blazing flame sword intent roared out. The pure violent finger energy collided with the crimson gold earth dragon sword, and immediately a powerful wave was produced. The power was enough to cover the sky, and the sky in the illusory array suddenly turned gray. If they were fighting in the capital of Wei, this kind of power could probably overturn the entire capital. The spectators outside the arena were also overturned. The first exchange was such a terrifying scene, and it was a feast for their eyes. But to the two people fighting, this level of attack was just a probing attack. In other words, they had not used their true strength. When the light dissipated, the two were indeed safe and sound. However, the two of them had different expressions. Lung 17 had a calm and collected look, while Wu Changyu had a grave and stern expression. He clawed down, and the origin energy of heaven and earth condensed into a giant handprint hundreds of feet large. It was wild and unstoppable. Lung Shiqi's 1000 Illusion Dao sword suddenly split into four. The power of earth, wind, water, and fire exploded. The surrounding void was torn apart, and endless life and death was contained within. It was extremely terrifying. The power of the four symbols was a kind of origin energy of the world, and it contained the Tao of life and death. At this time, it displayed the power to destroy the world. Lung Shiqi, who was in seclusion, did not give up on comprehending other powers. His understanding of the power of the four symbols deepened, and it became the four-symbol sword Tao. What he cared about was not how powerful the four-symbol sword Tao could be, but how to comprehend the power of the five elements. The power of the five elements had been troubling Lung Shiqi. After a long time he thought of a shortcut. The four symbols of earth, water, and fire corresponded with the formless earth, water, and fire. He would integrate the power of the four symbols into the sword Tao, and then use the four-symbol sword Tao to deduce the five-element sword Tao, and comprehend the power of the five elements. Of course, this was the ideal situation. Lung Shiqi did not know if it would succeed, but it was still a way. To him, the four-symbol sword Tao was purely a transition, but in Wu Changyu's eyes, it was very different. The four origin Tao swords circled around Lung Shiqi, and the terrifying four-symbol sword intent made Wu Changyu's pupils shrink. How could this power be controlled by someone in the unity of heaven and man realm? Lung Shiqi moved his finger and the four Tao swords whizzed out. Strange phenomena appeared in the world, and they strangled towards Wu Changyu. Facing the four-symbol sword Tao, Wu Changyu felt an unprecedented pressure. It was a pressure that not even a rank 7 great demon could give him. Wu Changyu was not afraid. On the contrary, his whole body was already burning with fighting spirit. The stronger Lung Shiqi was, the more powerful his fighting strength would be. Stepping out, a figure appeared behind Wu Changyu. The figure was like an ancient demon god, tearing the sky with his hands and crushing the earth with his feet. Punches after punches were thrown out, and each punch shook the illusion. The four Tao swords were blocked by the fist shadows, and each sword collided with dozens of fist shadows at the same time. The ear-piercing sound of the collision was deafening, and the explosion of spiritual power stimulated everyone's vision. Everyone kept exclaiming. This was a terrifying scene brought about by a battle between Sky Origin Realm experts. They had unknowingly forgotten that Lung Shiqi's cultivation was only in the unity of heaven and man realm. The battle between the two naturally fell into the eyes of the other Sky Origin Realm experts. The old man was the first to mutter, "Good fellow, he actually integrated the power of the four symbols into his sword Tao. No wonder this kid has not broken through to the Sky Origin Realm. It turns out that he has a big plan." Xian Haoying nodded slightly. His Majesty's vision is indeed sharp. Lung Shiqi's cultivation level in the future will probably surpass yours and mine. There is no need for the dynasty to restrict this kind of person. It is enough as long as he is willing to stand on the side of the dynasty. Even Shui Lioli, who had never spoken before, had a strange look in her eyes. Chapter 852. Meanwhile, Northern Wei's heavenly origin territory was even more shocked. Imperial Beast Abode's 10 Directions Beast King Luo Lu said in surprise, "To be able to grasp a trace of the power of the four elements at the unity of heaven and man realm and combine it with his own sword Tao, even half of the heavenly origin realm can't do this. This kid's talent and comprehension are really too terrifying. Don't belittle yourself by praising others." The armored man beside him added. This person stood there like a small mountain. His arms were exposed and every muscle contained explosive power. He was the Heavenly Dipper sect master, Kong Jianba, who was at the peak of the heavenly origin realm. Moreover, he was an extremely rare body cultivator in the world. His body was invincible and he could break through with force. This king of the Western Desolation is indeed monstrous, but didn't the Blood Beast sect also have Zhuoduanya? He broke through to the heavenly origin realm before the age of 40. Situ Huanshu, why didn't you let Zhuoduanya participate in the all-spirit gathering this time? The one who spoke was a beauty who was half lying on a chair. She was dressed in gorgeous pink, which made her look luxurious and charming. She was Fairy Luo Ying from the Falling Cherry Spirit region. Her cultivation was also at the peak of the heavenly origin realm. Situ Huanshu's face was gloomy, and he ignored Fairy Luo Ying. These few days he had been busy settling down the disciples of the Blood Beast sect and tracking down the culprit behind the scenes. In the end he had found nothing. He valued the all-spirit gathering very much. This was a great opportunity to stand out and he didn't want to give it up. He still had to come and participate, but the progress of hunting down the culprit would basically be put on hold again. It would be strange if he was in a good mood. Fairy Luo Ying saw that Situ Huanshu didn't speak, and her face turned cold. She snorted and said, "Sect Master Situ is so arrogant. I heard that there was a riot in the Blood Beast sect's beast prison a few days ago, and almost all the demonic beasts inside died. Aya, how many disciples can't get their own blood beasts now? How pitiful." Imperial Beast Abode sect master Luo Lu took the opportunity to mock and ridicule. He had already started to secretly target the Blood Beast sect. Situ Huanshu was still unmoved. These words couldn't shake his mentality, and could only make him hate the culprit even more. He would never have thought that the culprit behind the scenes was right in front of him. The four-element sword Dao was not as explosive as the four spirits array diagram, but it was more flexible. Lung Shiqi formed a sword with his fingers, and the four swords suddenly bloomed with brilliance. In an instant, huge waves surged into the sky, dragon flames destroyed the world, Mount Tai pressed down, and winds swept through the world. All kinds of forces erupted in the illusory realm, instantly filling the entire illusory realm. A force of nirvanic extermination suddenly appeared, directly shattering the divine shadow behind Wu Changyu. Pooh! The destruction of the Dharma idol immediately caused Wu Changyu to suffer a serious injury. This scene was naturally seen by everyone. There was a strange silence in the martial arts field. Everyone had been watching enthusiastically earlier. Now that Wu Changyu had spat out blood, they realized that this wasn't just a battle of the all-spirit gathering. To a certain extent, it was also related to the reputation of the two empires. In terms of cultivation, Wu Changyu was obviously much stronger than Leng Shiqi. However, it turned out that Wu Changyu, a middle-stage sky origin stage cultivator, was the one who was injured. The old man clicked his tongue in wonder. Gugue, I'm afraid even I can't beat this kid. Xian Haoying and Shui Liuli were also surprised. On the Northern Wei Empire's side, Fairy Luo Ying even stood up. I originally thought that he had only comprehended a bit of the four-element sword Dao. He can actually materialize the four-element sword Dao. No, if he can do this, why hasn't he broken through to the sky origin stage? It's a pity that Wu Changyu is going to become a sinner. The Big Dipper sect master Kong Jianba muttered to himself. The Imperial Beast abodes Luo Lu and the Blood Beast sect Situ Huanshu weren't thinking about this. At this moment, they were both thinking about whether they could win if they were in Wu Changyu's place. If it was a battle of life and death, as the sect masters of two top sects, they were confident that they could win with the help of powerful spirit beasts and blood fiends. However, this was not a battle of life and death, but a competition. There were many methods that were not suitable for them to use. Moreover, they would be fighting in the illusion. Although the illusion could manifest the same cultivation level, it might not be able to manifest the full strength of the spirit beasts and blood fiends. Therefore, this was a huge disadvantage for Luo Lu and Situ Huanshu. Under such circumstances, they really didn't dare to say that they could win against Leng Shiqi. In the illusion array, Wu Changyu was silent for a moment, then gritted his teeth and said, I admit defeat. Wah. As soon as he said this, the spirit cultivators in the martial field immediately shouted. You haven't lost yet, why are you admitting defeat? It's just a slip of the hand. You're the commissioner of the demon-slaying division, how can you admit defeat so easily? Losing to someone in the Unity of Heaven realm? Your reputation will be ruined if you admit defeat. It will also make the Northern Wei Empire lose face. Wu Changyu knew what they were talking about, but he also knew that there was no point in continuing the fight. He didn't have the ability to resist the explosive power of the four-element sword Dao. Even if he used all his skills, he would only lose even more miserably. At that time, he would only lose even more face. After he admitted defeat, someone announced on the spot that the winner of this competition was Leng Shiqi from the Thunderblaze Empire. In fact, Leng Shiqi was a little surprised that Wu Changyu admitted defeat like this. In the past, all his opponents had fought with their lives on the line. Perhaps it was because this was a competition, so it was normal for Wu Changyu to admit defeat when he saw that there was no hope of winning. After winning, Leng Shiqi returned to his room and naturally, he couldn't help but congratulate him. This time, the Northern Wei Empire had deliberately arranged for him to fight with Wu Changyu in order to suppress the prestige of the Thunderblaze Empire. But now it was simply the opposite. On the contrary, it had pushed Leng Shiqi's reputation to the peak. Now, he could be considered to be known by everyone in the Northern Wei Empire. At the same time, the atmosphere on the Starfall Empire's side was very harmonious. Naturally, they could see the results of the battle between the Thunderblaze Empire and the Northern Wei Empire. There were 3 people in this room and they all came from the Starfall Empire. The long-bearded old man sitting in the middle was the strongest person in this trip, Duke Qi. Trying to steal a chicken only to end up losing the rice used to lure it. The Northern Wei Empire has lost a lot of face. The one-eyed man on the right of Duke Qi sneered. Duke Qi squinted his eyes and said, that king of the Western wilderness is not simple. Investigate carefully. Yes. A skinny young man stood on his left expressionlessly and disappeared without a trace. The competition continued. After the first round, it was the turn of the Northern Wei Empire's Imperial Hall of Worship and the Starfall Empire's Sky Devil Palace's experts. Lung Shiqi stayed here to watch the battle. Suddenly, his heart skipped a beat as he felt that someone was spying on him. He immediately spread out his senses, but he couldn't find any clues. Deep underground outside the martial field, 3 people in black were operating a small formation together. A skull with half black and half bright floated in the middle of the 3 people. The imprint is above average. Let's wait for the result. Chapter 853. Lung Shiqi did not pay too much attention to it. He had just defeated Wu Changyu, so it was normal for some people to spy on him. The next battle was very exciting. Both sides were very close in strength, unlike Lung Shiqi and Wu Changyu, who were done in a few moves. The 2 of them fought until the sky turned dark, causing the cultivators outside to be extremely excited. In the blink of an eye, they had already forgotten about Wu Changyu's defeat. Fortunately, the experts from the Northern Wei Empire managed to win the match and managed to salvage some of the Northern Wei Empire's face. Their battle also ignited everyone's interest, and they looked forward to the next battle of the Sky Origin Realm. This time, there were a total of 35 Sky Origin Realm experts, including Leng Shiqi and Meng Tiantian. One of them had a bye in the first round, so there were 17 battles in the first round. The Northern Wei Empire had scheduled these 17 battles to be completed in 4 days, so there would only be 4 battles today. Next, the old man also made his move and defeated an expert from the Imperial Beast House. The Thunderfire Empire won 2 battles today, and everyone was happy. After that, everyone returned to the inn, where Leng Shiqi continued to meditate and comprehend the power of the 5 elements. Pain so painful. All the bones in his body felt as if they were broken. The young man opened his eyes with difficulty and found himself curled up in a dark corner of a prison. The prison was filled with a foul stench, and there seemed to be a trace of blood mixed in the stench. The young man seemed to be used to it because he had been brought here for a long time. As for how long it had been, he did not know. There was not a single ray of sunlight here, so he did not know how long it had been. He still remembered that there were 20 to 30 people like him back then, and this small prison was packed to the brim. But now he was the only one left. Every once in a while they would be forced to drink some strange liquid. Every time they drank it, they would be in unbearable pain. It was an unimaginable pain. Some people lost their lives in that extreme pain. Gradually, the young man was the only one left in the prison. Not long ago he was brought out and tied to a hard rock. Lying on it, he felt a chill seeping into his body from his back, causing him to shudder. In front of him stood 3 expressionless people. They seemed to be expressionless, as if their faces were fake. They looked very scary. The youth did not resist. He knew that resistance was useless. "Let's begin," the person in the middle said. His voice was as stiff as a dead person's. The fingers of the 2 people on the left and right were as black as ink. Suddenly they lengthened by a few inches. Wisps of black chi swirled around them as they pierced into the young man's ribs. "Ah!" The youth screamed, but strangely he didn't bleed at all. The 2 men opened 2 buttons on both sides of his body and took out a strange object each. That thing looked like a small heart, beating twice from time to time. The color of the hearts in their hands was different. One was black while the other was light blue. The young man didn't know what they were going to do. He could only rely on his tenacious will to support himself. Then they placed the 2 hearts into the young man's body. Finally, one of them chanted and formed a series of black seals. The young man's body immediately began to twitch violently. Blood flowed out of his 7 orifices and his eyes turned white. Then he suddenly stopped moving. It seemed that he had died. The 3 of them were already used to this and remained expressionless. "Carry him away," the man in the middle said and turned to leave. But the young man's body suddenly straightened. He actually came back to life. The youth was panting heavily while the other 3 stared with wide eyes, their faces filled with disbelief. The man in the middle finally had an expression. He immediately shouted in surprise, "We did it! Quickly report to the Holy Master." The young man was confused. He didn't know why he didn't die. He quickly saw the Holy Master that the 3 of them were talking about. It was a white-haired old man, but the old man's eyes were very strange. One of his eyes was endless black. It was like a whirlpool in hell that could suck away a person's soul. The other eye was filled with countless stars. It was as if there was a universe in his eyes. What was even stranger was that when the young man saw the Holy Master, he felt an inexplicable sense of closeness. Very good. The Holy Master stared at the young man for a while and nodded in satisfaction. The young man was confused. The Holy Master suddenly reached out to grab the young man. Whoosh! Lung Shiqi suddenly woke up from his dream. Immediately his expression changed. All kinds of emotions flashed through his eyes. The golden light behind his head shone brightly. It was a sign that he had activated the power of his primordial spirit to the extreme. How could he be dreaming? He clearly remembered that he was comprehending the power of the 5 elements. How could he suddenly fall asleep and have a strange dream? Lung Shiqi was now at the peak of the unity of heaven and man realm. His spiritual power was far stronger than ordinary sky origin realm cultivators. Sleeping and dreaming were very unfamiliar to him. Ever since he came to this world, the number of times he had slept could be counted on one hand. So why did he suddenly fall asleep while cultivating today? There must be something wrong. Lung Shiqi fully activated his primordial spirit. Half of the Wei capital was in his perception, but he couldn't find anything strange. Then he remembered that when he was in the arena, he felt that someone was secretly spying on him. The spying person might be trying to secretly do something. Could it be Meng Tiantian? Lung Shiqi was the first to suspect Meng Tiantian. If there was anyone who could make him fall asleep in a dream, it seemed that other than the mysterious Meng Tiantian, no one could do it. The key was that the dream was too real. It didn't seem like an illusion. The boy's confusion, hesitation, and fear were similar to what Lung Shiqi experienced. Especially the Divine Lord who appeared at the end. His eyes were scary, but there was also a sense of familiarity. It was too strange. Instead of saying that it was a dream, it was more like a memory. Thinking of this, Lung Shiqi was shocked. He suddenly realized that there was a problem that he had never cared about before, and that was the memory of his current body. When he woke up, he was already on the Blood Fog Island. He had asked Yushu and Delta Origi before, but they didn't have any memories before coming to the Blood Fog Island. Therefore, Lung Shiqi had always thought that the people of the Blood Clothing Pavilion had erased their previous memories. At that time, they hadn't cultivated yet, so erasing their memories wasn't troublesome. After that, Lung Shiqi didn't deliberately search for the memory of the original body because he felt that it was meaningless. When he awakened the bloodline of the Star Clan and the Dark Shadow Clan in his body, he realized that he should be related to the Nether Temple. Therefore, he began to collect information about the Nether Temple. From the looks of it, the things that happened in the dream just now might have been the original memories of this body. Chapter 854. If that was the case, why did this memory appear out of nowhere? And it happened right after Lung Shiqi sensed that someone was spying on him. This made Lung Shiqi even more vigilant. He felt that someone was watching him recently. However, this was also within his expectations. He changed his name in the Western Desolate Province and came to participate in the All-Spirit Gathering openly. His purpose was to lure someone out. That was the Nether Temple. When he was still in the Imperial capital, he heard Eunuch Gao mention the name Lung Shiqi in the hall of the Nether Temple. Coincidentally, he also wanted to find people from the Nether Temple, so he used himself as bait. The current situation was most likely caused by the people from the Nether Temple in the dark. However, the enemy was in the dark while he was in the light. Moreover, those people were very good at hiding, so he could not find them in a short time. This body of mine has the bloodline of both the Star Clan and the Dark Shadow Clan. The Nether Temple and the Dark Shadow Clan are inextricably linked. The Nether Temple is even controlled by the Dark Shadow Clan. In the dream, I seemed to be a test subject. In the end, I was the only one who survived. Who was the Saint Master? What did he do to the original me? How did I get caught by the Bloodcloth Pavilion and thrown away on the Blood Mist Island? A series of questions appeared in Lung Shiqi's mind. When he recalled the eyes of the Saint Master, he could not help but tremble. One of the Saint Master's eyes was dark, while the other was bright. It was clearly the sign of having both the bloodline of the Star Clan and the Dark Shadow Clan. Lung Shiqi thought of a possibility. The Saint Master might not have much time left, or he might have other purposes. So, he wanted to create a person with both bloodlines. Then he would take over the body. In other words, Lung Shiqi's original body was a tool. However, something happened and it was lost. In the end, it was found by the Bloodcloth Pavilion and thrown away on the Blood Mist Island. The Blood Mist Island was a small secret territory that the Bloodcloth Pavilion temporarily opened. Therefore, the Nether Temple could not find this body even after searching the entire continent. Of course, all this was just Leng Shiqi's guess. As for whether it was true or not, he had to ask the people of the Blood Cloth Pavilion first. He immediately entered the underworld and contacted Formless through the underworld lamp. Wu Yin Ghost Monarch appeared and Wu Xiang asked, "My dear disciple, what's the matter?" "Master, I want to know who brought me to Blood Mist Island," Leng Shiqi said in a deep voice. "This." Wu Xiang paused for a moment. "I'm not sure about this either. It was all arranged by the Pavilion Lord himself. The Pavilion Master of the Blood Cloak Pavilion, Hateful Blade." Leng Shiqi frowned. This was going to be troublesome. Since he had become the king of the Western Wilderness without authorization, his relationship with the Blood-Robed Pavilion had already been strained. It would be impossible for him to directly ask Hateful Blade about it. This matter could only be discussed at length. "I heard that you defeated Wu Changyu of the Monster Execution Department at the Myriad Spirit Flourishing Assembly. Tiske, even I, your master, am probably no match for you now." Wu Xiang took the initiative to change the topic. The battle with the Leng Shiqi had not ended for long, and the Blood Garment Pavilion had already received the news. The intelligence network was indeed powerful. The two of them chatted for a while and then parted. Wu Xiang could not get any information from him. Leng Shiqi was immediately placed in an absolute passive position. In this situation he could only take one step at a time. As the saying went, since he was already here, he should take things as they came. Sooner or later the other party would make a move, and when they made a move there was a chance that they would expose their flaws. After stabilizing his mind, Leng Shiqi closed his eyes and began to comprehend the power of the 5 elements again. He did not dare to stop for even a moment. This matter made him feel a sense of urgency. Although he was now very strong and could be ranked in the upper tier of the Heaven Origin stage, it was still not enough. In the next few days, Leng Shiqi did not participate in the Myriad Spirit Flourishing Assembly. He had already entered the next round, so he might as well use this time to cultivate. The 3 days of competition quickly ended. Unexpectedly, the old man from the Thunderfire dynasty was defeated. Xian Haoying and Shui Liuli both defeated their opponents. However, the old man seemed to be in a good mood. He was still cheerful. In addition, Meng Tian, who Leng Shiqi was more concerned about, also defeated a Heaven Origin stage opponent. She and Leng Shiqi were both in the unity of Heaven and Man realm. These two people were the most talked about recently. After all, it was too abnormal for the weak to defeat the strong. Coincidentally, they were both from the Thunderfire dynasty. Many people even thought that they were a good match. Leng Shiqi did not care about this. There were still 18 experts left. The Thunderfire dynasty had 4 including Meng Tian, the Starfall dynasty had 5, and the remaining 9 were from the Northern Wei dynasty. In the past few days, many people from the Northern Wei dynasty had been defeated. However, they had too many people. In the end, the number of people still made up the majority. At the same time, the Northern Wei dynasty had announced their opponents in advance. This way they could prepare for their opponents. Leng Shiqi's next opponent was the Acacia sect from the Starfall dynasty. The Acacia sect was not very popular in the Starfall dynasty. Their strength barely squeezed into the 6 paths demon realm, but they were at the bottom. This sect mainly used the method of gathering yin to nourish yang to increase their cultivation. They were despised by the world. However, they had many followers. Moreover, there were some officials and nobles who secretly asked for medicine. Because of their complicated relationships, the sect had been passed down until now. Leng Shiqi's opponent was the Acacia sect master, young Master Acacia. He was a Heaven Origin late-stage expert and was very strong. Xian Haoying specially sent someone to bring him information about young Master Acacia. She hoped that Leng Shiqi's chances of winning would be higher. In fact, Xian Haoying and the others felt that Leng Shiqi's chances of winning were not high. Last time he defeated Wu Changyu, who was at the Heaven Origin middle stage. However, it did not mean that his strength was comparable to a Heaven Origin late-stage expert. Moreover, there were differences between Heaven Origin late-stage experts. For example, Blood Beast sect Xie Pingyu and Situ Huanshu were both at the Heaven Origin late stage, but there was a difference in strength between them. Young Master Acacia was the sect master of a top sect. He enjoyed countless resources and had an entire sect's inheritance to cultivate. His strength was definitely very strong. In Xian Haoying's view, as long as Leng Shiqi did not lose in an ugly manner, his name would be enough to shake the continent. Leng Shiqi did not say anything. After reading the information about young Master Acacia, he already had a plan in mind. If he encountered an expert like the Imperial Beast Camp Sect Master, he would most likely lose if he did not use his full strength. However, his opponent was young Master Acacia, who cultivated a heterogeneous demonic cultivation method. "Your Highness, someone wants to see you." At this time Banding's voice came from outside the door. Lung Shichi subconsciously wanted to refuse, but the scene in front of him suddenly changed. He was in the middle of a sparkling lake. The water splashed and condensed into a graceful figure. "Don't you want to see me?" The person who came was Meng Tian. Chapter 855. Lung Shichi's primordial spirit moved and left the illusion. He opened the door and saw Meng Tian standing at the door. "So it's Miss Meng, please come in." Meng Tian smiled. "Thank you for opening the door for me, Western Desolate King." Even though she said that, she still walked in on her own accord. Lung Shichi waved his hand and Banding's face was filled with admiration. He bowed and left with a strange smile. Lung Shichi and Meng Tian didn't have much interaction. The last time they met was in the capital of the Thunder Flame Dynasty. The 10,000 Laws sect came to celebrate the late Emperor Lei Qingjuan's birthday. It was at that time that he saw how terrifying Meng Tian was, so he didn't know the purpose of Meng Tian's visit. Who knew that the first thing Meng Tian said after sitting down would shock Lung Shichi? "Your cultivation of the five-god flowing light art isn't very good." In this world, the only one who knew that he cultivated the five-god flowing light art was Oziu. How did Meng Tian know? "Don't be nervous, because the cultivation method I cultivate is the illusion heavenly spirit art," Meng Tian explained. Lung Shichi's eyes flashed. He had obtained the inheritance of the five-god flowing light art in the illusion spirit secret realm. This cultivation method was actually a part of the Divine Illusion Palace's strongest cultivation method, the Divine Illusion Spirit Art. The Divine Illusion Spirit Art had three parts. They were the five-god flowing light art, the Illusory World Art, and the Illusion Heavenly Spirit Art. The five-god flowing light art was obtained by Lung Shichi. The Illusory World Art was with Oziu. As for the last part, it was said that it was obtained by an expert hundreds of years ago. Later on, Lung Shichi also went to inquire about it, but no one knew who that person was. Who would have thought that it would end up in the 10,000 Laws sect? Moreover, these three cultivation methods had a certain connection with each other. Cultivators could indeed sense it. No wonder Meng Tian knew that he cultivated the five-god flowing light art. Meng Tian said, "You should understand now. The illusory heavenly spirit technique is in the mysterious 10,000 Laws sect. Back then it was obtained by the previous sect master. After that, he entered the mysterious 10,000 Laws sect, so this technique was naturally left behind in the sect. The illusory heavenly spirit technique is extremely difficult to cultivate. Currently, in the entire mysterious 10,000 Laws sect, only the sect master and I have successfully cultivated it." Lung Shichi understood. He also knew Meng Tian's goal. She wanted to gather all three techniques and recreate the divine dream spirit art. Lung Shichi had once had such a plan. He and Oziu had already exchanged cultivation techniques. At this moment, the last part was right in front of him. Of course, he also wanted to obtain the final, divine dream spirit art. But Lung Shichi still shook his head and said, "What's the point of telling me this?" "Hey, Your Highness, the Western Wasteland King is asking the obvious." Meng Tian moved closer to Lung Shichi and smiled sweetly. "Could it be that Prince doesn't want the divine dream spirit technique? It's rumored that the divine dream spirit technique is a transcendent 10th level cultivation technique. It's rare in the world, so I naturally want it. But even if you and I exchange cultivation techniques, we're still lacking one. With our current strength, it's meaningless." At the beginning, Meng Tian took the initiative to say that he cultivated the five gods flowing light technique. Then she might not know that he also cultivated the 1,000 revolutions illusory world technique. It was true that there was a connection between cultivation techniques, but it could be hidden. Just like how Meng Tian clearly cultivated the illusory heavenly spirit technique, but Lung Shichi did not sense it. "Don't deceive yourself anymore." Meng Tian's smile disappeared. "Since I was able to find you, I naturally came prepared. You have two cultivation techniques on you. If you and I exchange, we can both obtain the divine dream spirit technique. I won't let you suffer a loss. You can name your conditions." "Really? Really?" Lung Shichi raised his eyebrows. Meng Tian's determination was quite big. Thinking about it, anyone who saw a 10th level cultivation technique in front of them would be moved. He did not suffer a loss by exchanging the 5 gods flowing light technique with Meng Tiantian. As for the value of the 1000 revolutions illusory world technique, it was far more than just a high-grade cultivation technique. It would be a waste if he did not take advantage of such a business that came knocking on his door. Furthermore, the divine dream spirit technique could indeed increase his combat strength in the shortest time possible, giving him a better chance of entering the Ashen Aeon world. And his ultimate goal of entering the Ashen Aeon world was to find an opportunity to comprehend the power of the 5 elements. The Myriad Laws sect was the most powerful spiritual cultivation sect on the Starfall continent, so it definitely had a large number of 5 elemental spells. Lung Shiqi said, "It's very simple. I need some 5 elemental spells. I want every one of them. At the very least they have to be at the 6th level." What a big appetite. Meng Tiantian was immediately displeased. First of all, spiritual cultivation techniques were very rare, much less those above the 6th level. Even in the Myriad Laws sect, one needed to be a successor disciple and a large number of sect contributions to be qualified to obtain them. How could they be found on the side of the road? I do have the 1000 revolutions illusory world art. You know the importance of this cultivation technique the best, so a mere 5 elemental spell is nothing. Lung Shiqi did not budge an inch. Meng Tiantian gritted her teeth and hesitated for a moment before saying, "I mainly cultivate illusions. Although I cultivate some 5 elemental spells, they aren't many. However, I can give you a portion of the Myriad Laws secret record." Myriad Laws secret record. That was the cornerstone cultivation technique of the Myriad Laws sect. She can even take out such a thing. Lung Shiqi exclaimed inwardly. What a good fellow. I believe you have heard of the Myriad Laws secret record. There are a large number of spiritual cultivation techniques recorded in it. I can only give you a small portion. That's all. If you are willing, then we have a deal. If you are unwilling, then forget it. Meng Tiantian's temper seemed to rise as she spoke impatiently. Deal. Lung Shiqi readily agreed. The Myriad Laws secret record was definitely something good. It definitely had 5 elemental spells. As for the grade, it probably couldn't be high. After all, it was only a small portion. As long as it had the effect of drawing parallels, it didn't matter. Then the two exchanged 2 jade slips and got what they wanted. It could be considered a happy ending. Since it's like this, then I will take my leave. I wish Western Wasteland King success soon. Meng Tiantian pretended to leave. I want to ask one last question. Putting away the jade slip, Lung Shiqi turned his head and asked. Perhaps because she was about to get the divine fantasy spirit technique, Meng Tiantian smiled and said, "Ask away." "You, who are you?" Meng Tiantian's face stiffened. "Western Wasteland King, what do you mean? This little girl doesn't understand. I advise Western Wasteland King that there is no need to understand." Finished speaking, Meng Tiantian's figure disappeared like a bubble. Lung Shiqi's face was heavy. The transaction just now seemed to go smoothly, but it was strange everywhere. It was as if he didn't do anything and got the divine fantasy spirit technique and the Myriad Laws secret record. Moreover, it was the other party who delivered it to him. How was this a transaction? It was a free gift. How could there be such a good thing when a pie fell from the sky? It wasn't that Lung Shiqi was suspicious. As the saying goes, one who is unaccountably solicitous is hiding evil intentions. Meng Tiantian was definitely not as simple as she appeared. Her goal might not be just the divine fantasy spirit technique, but Lung Shiqi couldn't think of anything else. He could only be more vigilant against Meng Tiantian. After Meng Tiantian left, she crushed the 2 jade slips Lung Shiqi gave her. She had clearly spent a lot of effort to exchange for these 2 cultivation techniques. At this moment they were like trash in his eyes. Her eyes were deep, but they shone with 9 colors. She muttered, "You are quite smart. Giving you the divine fantasy spirit technique should allow you to enter the Ashen Aeon world. You are the most outstanding seed. If you can't do this, it will be too disappointing." That you're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Chronicles YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.